Good morning, everyone. My name is Jakub Kajtman. I work in the European Commission in DG Connect. And I would like to welcome you to this Partner for Digital Skills Info Day and Matchmaking event. Before we give the floor and before we start with our speakers, let me just give you some housekeeping information so that you all know how today will look. So first of all, just to let you know that the plenary and pitching sessions are being recorded and they will be published. You will not be able to use your cameras and your microphones. The only way how you can communicate and how we would like you to communicate and how we invite you to communicate is through the chat. So feel free to use it. We have a full team monitoring the chat, collecting questions, and we will have enough time also to follow up on the questions either today or later on, also in written. Just for you to know or to remind that the official Q&As, official questions and answers, will be also published on the website of the three calls that we will be talking about today. And just a reminder that the call texts contain all the key information that you need to know. But today we are here to explain, to clarify, to facilitate what you might need to know or what your questions might be. So, as I said, today's objectives are to inform, to clarify, and to facilitate matchmaking. Of course, everything around the calls in advanced digital skills under the Digital Europe program. We are very happy to have you today. Already nearly 300 people in the room, more than 650 people registered to the event. So we will still see many people coming in. If you want to tweet or if you want to be in touch on Twitter, you can use the hashtag Digital EU program, or you can follow us at Digital Skills EU, our account that we, of course, will post, and we post all the information about our activities and especially about the advanced digital skills calls under the Digital Europe program. Now, let's have a quick look at the agenda. Today, we have three main sessions. The first one is just starting now. It's the plenary session where we will be presenting the calls and explaining all the details, and you will also be able to ask questions via chat. The next part, the next session will be the parallel pitching sessions. We have two sessions with 10 pitches per session. We have divided them in the blue room and into the green room. You can see the agenda in your B2 Match agenda profile, and there you can also choose which session you want to participate in. So you might want to check that for example, during the coffee break. And then we will have two matchmaking sessions. The first one will start already at 11:30 and the second one at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And the matchmaking sessions are really an opportunity for you to connect with people, with participants whom you find interesting, whom you want to talk to, or who can, for instance, inspire you during the parallel sessions. The booking is done also via the B2 Match platform, so you can also see it there. Now, coming to the first session of the day, it's the plenary session, and we will have a couple of presentations, and we will also have the Q&As so that you can ask the questions. First, it will be Gerard de Graaf, the director in DG Connect, who will give his welcome speech and introduction. Then we will have Fabrizia Benini, deputy director in DG Connect, presenting the digital work program 2021-2022. And then it will be my colleague Silvia Merisio, who will look more in detail on the digital master's call and on the CSA on skills analysis. Then we have a short Q&As, and we continue with presentation from Rehana Schwinninger-Ladak, head of unit from DG Connect, who will talk about the data space on skills. And final presentation will be from colleagues from HDEA, Basak, Koyuncu-King, and Charmaine Kerr, who will talk more practically about how to apply to these calls and where you find all the information. Just to remind you last time, if you have questions, please post them in the chat. We will collect them and reply to them during our Q&A sessions. And with this, it's my very big pleasure to welcome among us Gerard de Graaf, the director here in DG Connect at the European Commission, who will give the introductory remarks and welcome. So Gerard, thank you very much for being with us, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Jakub, and good morning to everyone. I see you come from all over Europe, from Greece, from Portugal, from Ireland, from Denmark, from Estonia, Romania. That's really exciting to see the great interest from all over Europe, and even some connecting from outside of Europe. I think we're all excited because this is a first in many respects. It's the first time that the EU has a funding instrument entirely dedicated to the digital transition with the Digital Europe program. This is the first work program that we are presenting to you today, and it's the first Info Day as well to prepare for the calls for proposals to boost our digital talent pool. I mean, I don't need to explain to you, because I'm sure you're all quite savvy in digital, what a kind of an accelerated digital transformation we're going through. And COVID, of course, has further kind of helped speed it up. I mean, the European Union needs to be prepared for the digital transformation. We need to go through it successfully and together, and we need to reap all the benefits. And for this reason, we need to work in partnership. We need to work together, the European Union, the member states, the regions, the stakeholders, the universities, the technical institutes. I mean, all of you, because there is a lot at stake, and the only way that we can succeed is by working together. And how are we doing this at the European Union level? The President, Ursula von der Leyen, in her State of the Union in September, presented what we call the path to the digital decade. So where does Europe need to be by the end of this decade in 2030 in order to be successful? And we defined 4 cardinal points, like a compass. We need to be ready with skills, with digital skills. We need to be ready with connectivity, secure, sustainable networks. Our industry needs to integrate digital technologies to increase productivity, to develop new business models. And our public services need to provide services to the standard that we are used to of Amazon.com. So there is a lot of work ahead of us, and we have developed a governance mechanism with the member states and set targets in all of these areas, and we are going to track whether we are going to reach these targets, and if we're kind of falling behind, we kind of need to take steps in order to remedy this. So we've got a plan, we've got a vision, and we've got money through the Digital Europe program, but also, of course, through the recovery and resilience facilities in the member states. In total, that's I mean, more than 20% going into digital, and so we're expecting this to be of the order of 150, 170 billion. We've got the multi-annual financial framework with Horizon, also the Connecting Europe facility programs that you are familiar with. Of course, we have the social fund, also a lot of those resources going into digital skills. What is the target, and why are we here? Because in digital skills, I mean, the targets that we have set, we're still far away from. The target that's been set for basic digital skills is that by the end of this decade, at least 80% of the population needs to have basic digital skills. And I look again in COVID, where our societies have gone largely virtual. We're using e-commerce, we're using electronic banking, we're using video conferencing facilities. If you do not have these basic digital skills, there's a risk of kind of a separation in our societies between the haves and the have-nots, and that risk is only becoming greater as the digital transformation proceeds. At the moment in the European Union, we have 56% of our citizens with basic digital skills, and the target is at least 80%. So you can see the gap. And in some member states, of course, the situation is better. In other member states, the situation is worse, and there's a huge effort that needs to be undertaken in order to train, to help people to acquire those digital skills. We also need more people with advanced digital skills, and that's why we're here today. The target that has been set at the European Union level is 20 million ICT specialists by 2030. Well, today we're at 8 million. The trend at the moment is about 4% growth, so we're moving in the right direction. But at 4% growth over, say, the next 10 years, we will fall short by 6 million. We'll get to 40 million, but not to 20 million. And 20 million is what we need in order to be a successful society and a successful economy. I'm sure you're all aware, you probably also know a lot of companies and SMEs that are looking for digital talent, for engineers, software engineers, data specialists, and they can't find them. And that is a huge foregone growth potential and of course opportunity to create employment in the European Union. So that we cannot have. It's a challenging target. As I said earlier, the only way to achieve it is if we work together. And I said we had money. Well, in the Digital Europe program for this target specifically, we have around 600 million euros. And this is what the kind of the calls are, I mean, starting this year and then next year. And of course, for the next couple of years until 2027, we're going to issue a number of calls to address this, to help us achieve that target of 20 million. And the idea is we work together and we're doing it in other areas. You may have heard about supercomputing, high performance computing. We have a cooperation with member states called EuroHPC. We started kind of from a relatively low level a few years ago, and in a couple of months' time we will be again in the top of the world with, say, the fastest supercomputers. So if we work together, we pool forces, we kind of divide the work, we can get there. We are doing the same now with the European Alliance for Industrial Data and Cloud. So that's the kind of the magic bullet for the European Union. We do have the potential. It's a bit spread out over the European Union and fragmented, but if we bring it together, nobody can stop us. Well, we have more specifically, of course, looked at the problems that the European Union faces. And it's not just like we're at 8 million, we need to be at 12 million. We can also look a bit underneath, like what is holding us back. Well, there's been studies that we've done, and let me share some kind of outcomes of these studies. One of the big problems is the offer. We just do not offer enough kind of opportunities to young people to study ICT. Interestingly, in terms of specialized education offer, the UK offers as many courses as the kind of the EU. They're also, the UK and the US are quicker to respond to demand for new courses than the EU. We have very few education programs in non-ICT fields that include courses in digital. For example, only 2% of the business faculties teach modules in AI or big data, 1.5% of natural science, and 1% of arts and humanities. So we send doctors out or kind of architects into the world that are graduating, and they do not have the required skills of how to use artificial intelligence and big data. That is not a good development. That has to change. There's a lack of qualified teaching staff. This is, of course, at the source of why it's difficult to respond. I mean, to set up more courses and to receive more applications to increase the number of places available. And then finally, there's not enough diversity amongst digital students and workers. With only 1 in 6 being a woman, we are really losing out on a huge talent pool of female talent that could go more into ICT, but isn't going into ICT. Well, so with that kind of, we would like to improve this situation. This situation is not going to get us to where we want to be by 2030. So we must make the education offer more relevant, more flexible, and more accessible to all, and more attractive. We're looking to receiving very good proposals from you. We also hope kind of by you coming together in consortia, and particularly kind of where universities and businesses and research institutes, that also that will help kind of promoting more innovation and breakthroughs. So I see you're present in large numbers. You have the opportunity to interact with each other in kind of the rest of the day. We're very much looking forward to receiving the best possible proposals. I mean, I always kind of think of the situation which we had with business schools, where also like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, the European business schools were not kind of at the level where they are now. Now they are leading the world. So if we can do that in that area of business schools, we can definitely also do that in terms of excellence, in terms of offer, in terms of kind of the connections with the market in the area of digital and ICT. So that's the challenge. We are ready with you to confront that challenge, and if we do so, I think the European Union will be very successful in the field of digital. So have a very good day, very productive day, and back to you, Jakub.
Gerard, thank you very much for these introductory remarks, and indeed to underline the importance of the Digital Europe program and the advanced digital skills calls under it, and thank you for giving also the broader political context, and thank you for calling up the community and the participants to join forces and to work with us on this. So thank you for this introduction. Now, I saw in the chat that many of you have already shared where you are from or what you do. To make this even bigger, or to understand better who is in the room, I would now invite Brian, my colleague who is with us today, to share his screen, because before we move to the next presentation, we have prepared for you a short online poll where we want to ask you two questions. So the first one is to understand where you are from, and the second one is what you're interested in. So to contribute to this poll or to contribute to this survey, please go to menti.com. It's written on the top of the slide, and you can write the code 93 57 91 99. Maybe colleagues from the team from the backstage could also paste the link to the voting in the chat, and we will be asking you these two questions. And I think it's very useful for especially for you, all the 350 participants now in the room, to understand where people are from, and to understand whom we are talking with, and what is the potential in this meeting and in this room. And as Gerard said, the objective today is also to network, to exchange, and to eventually form partnerships, because that's the key activity or key action also under this advanced digital skills call in the Digital Europe program. So we see clearly a big domination from Spain, Ireland, Germany, Belgium. These are the countries that are very much present, and that were also very much present in the registration. So very happy to see it. I will give you still, let's say, 20 seconds to vote, so that the word cloud gets full. And of course, the more people write, for example, Spain, the bigger the word Spain is in the word cloud. So it means that the more people in the room are from Spain. So again, Spain, France, Ireland, Belgium. Thank you, but also thanks to other countries. I mean, Estonia, we have the Netherlands, Poland, Italy. So thank you for connecting, and we really see that we are from all over Europe. And maybe, Brian, as we have now already more than 200 people who voted, I would like to switch to the second question. So please refresh now your browser or refresh your mobile phone if you have voted from a mobile phone, because then you will see the second question in the Mentimeter, and that's about topics. And I think this is the first step for networking and matchmaking, because it will really help you to identify who are the people in the room and what they are mainly interested in. I just want to remind that when you vote in this poll, you can select two options. So you have a list of topics, list of fields, technological fields, and you can select two options where you can vote on your interest. And we already see that big proportion of you, 37%, are interested in artificial intelligence. And that means that you are very well here, because artificial intelligence, of course, one of the big topics for digital upskilling in Europe and for finding digital and AI experts. But of course also cybersecurity, data, both at 18%, and then we are at blockchain and IoT with 7%. But of course also many people interested in robotics, cloud, and the other technologies. So I will still keep this poll up for another 20 seconds if it moves a little bit, but it already gives you a very good indication of where you can find eventual partners in which domain. So thank you very much for voting on these. And I think our next speaker, Fabrizia Benini, who is the Deputy Director in DG Connect, will also reflect on these results in her presentation and in her speech. So Fabrizia, the floor is yours, and I'm just switching your presentation as well so that we can see your slides. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jakub, and good morning to everybody. This is really quite an extraordinary meeting because we are doing what we would normally do in a big conference room and bringing you all together and letting you network. But thanks to digital and thanks to these tools, we are actually able to carry out a participatory event whereby we explain to you what the policy is, where it is going, what are the opportunities, but above all, we let you come together, network, and hopefully, deliver a contribution and a submission to the plan and to the Digital Europe program. So perhaps looking at my first slide, what you're looking at is the structure of digital and the Digital Europe program. So this is a deployment program, i.e. it's the first time that the Union considers these very advanced technologies and how to deploy them in the economy, how to make SMEs take them up, how to make the government, the public actors take them up. And of course, they focus on high performance computing, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity. But to underpin all these areas, what you do need is digital skills. Advanced digital skills, i.e. the people that are able to develop, to understand, to use, and to deploy these tools. So therefore, very, very important action as far as the digital skills. Now, going to the next slide, the rationale, very much in following what Gerard was telling you, the rationale is to increase the capacity in training in Europe and to make sure that we are reactive to the market needs. And when I say the market, it's very much the labor market and the economy in general, that we are reactive and that we attract the best talent, both in terms of talent to teach and talent to develop. And in saying talent to develop, I mean both students and the workforce that can upskill. So therefore, we are looking to make sure that all these different categories of people have an opportunity and have a place in our program of development. So what is planned exactly in the advanced digital skills section of the program? And that is the next slide. You will see that we're going to focus over 7 years into a number of areas. The first area, very strongly, is master's programs. Why master's programs? Because Europe has got a very advanced digital the employees in Europe, are very highly educated, but they are perhaps not sufficiently digitally educated in these advanced technologies. And what happens? We want to increase the possibility for these technologies not only to exist per se, i.e. only devoted to the technology itself, but also to be part, as Gerard was telling you, to be part of the courses in medicine, in engineering, in social sciences. We also are looking to address the needs of the labor force through short-term trainings, always in these advanced technologies. And here, we are very keen to make sure that the beneficiaries can also be SMEs, because the SMEs, as you know, is the backbone of the European economy. If we have highly digitized, highly competent SMEs, we will have a very good and promising growth prospect. We're also thinking of traineeships in these areas. Now, we have a good track record in terms of traineeships in digital, because a few years ago we launched the Digital Opportunities Traineeships, which was a very successful program that was available for people that were finishing university, and they were able, through a matchmaking platform, to go straight into a traineeship in one of these advanced areas. Now, this is continuing. It's going to be funded under the Erasmus program, but we are now focusing on another type of traineeship in the first 2 years, which will be implemented by the Euro HPC. And this action will provide access to training and working experience in the competence centers and the companies that will be able to introduce this new talent into the job. Finally, we also have support for the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition. This is where we are. This is the home of digital skills. And I'm very happy that you discover it this way, because there's nothing like a tool that is useful so that you come back to it. But if you navigate a bit the platform, you find not only information on training opportunities, you find information on support for digital skills actions, but you also find digital skills intelligence, i.e. reports, analysis on the problems, on the different problems of digital skills. And we bring together not only all the services of the Commission, the departments of the Commission that deal with digital skills, i.e. employment, education, but also the agencies. And we are linking ourselves with the member states in a constellation that will progressively join all the digital skills and jobs coalitions at national level. And there we will be able to exchange best practices to understand what works in what areas, and therefore, in this way, support people that want to develop digital skills. There's also a support action for the transformation of education that will be financed with a budget of 3 million. The project will support closer collaboration in digital education in Europe and amongst European startups, SMEs, and other relevant stakeholders to foster the exchange of good practices at European level, aiming at increased capacities in the national education systems. Now, if we go to what underpins all of this, so how do we know that these master programs that we want to launch will be successful? How do we know there is a request for it? How do we know it suits your needs? Well, we developed in the preparation of the program a pilot project. And the pilot project, which was launched a couple of years ago, firstly, has tested these actions. And as a result, we have 4 new master programs that have been developed. You see them in the screen. And this has been the preparation of the master's concept, which brings together universities, competence centers, industry, and SMEs. The idea is that there needs to be we need to close the gap between the university, the academic world, and the labor market. And we need to make sure that we draw in also the SMEs, which are the backbone of the European economy. Not forgetting that our first and biggest aim is to have excellence in training in these areas in Europe. And so therefore the competence centers of the relative programs relative technologies will be a part of the consortium. And this is why you're here also, so that matchmaking can happen and can be facilitated. So just to give you an idea, we have a master's on AI for public services, and the goal is to train public service professionals with AI skills. We have the Technical University of Madrid, Polytechnic University of Milan, and the first edition of this program was launched in 2021. Of course, you will find the information about this program in the platform. We also have a human-centered AI master. It's a new master with a strong focus on ethical perspectives related to AI. This is so important. Not only do we need to train AI experts, we need to train them in an AI that is reflecting European values. We do not want technologies to run amok. We want them to serve our values, to serve our principles, and so therefore it is very important that this takes place. The Technical University Dublin, the University of Applied Sciences in Utrecht, the University of Naples Federico II, Budapest University of Technology and Economics, and together with, of course, recognized SMEs and research centers. Then we have a master's in AI for careers in EU, and this was created by the University of Cyprus, and we will train students in the latest AI developments and applications. And along this new specific path of AI, it will be developed under the degrees in computer science with the Dresden University of Technology, the University of Ruse, and the University of Bologna. These four examples, just to let you capture what we are trying to achieve. We are trying to bring together small universities, bigger universities, to make sure that the offer is available throughout Europe, but without giving in to excellence. We are fully aware that universities can't just from one day to the other have a critical mass that can compete with the Harvards and the MITs of this world. But together we can certainly go that further step that is necessary. Now, going into the work program of 2021-22, that is perhaps the next slide, okay. So it was published on 10th of November. We have already the first call out, and as I was saying before, this is about master courses, very important. And master courses on this call will address data, Internet of Things, AI, blockchain, cybersecurity, HPC, quantum, and the ones that we are so keen to do, interdisciplinary courses, including the teaching of these areas in non-ICT related fields. Now, to support these consortia in an efficient delivery and faster networking amongst them, we have also called for a support action. What is this? This is extremely useful for us to understand that what we are doing actually responds to the demand. It responds to your needs. It fits with what is already there and is additional. It's something that will guide us through. It's like a pilot that will guide us through as we develop this program over the years. So there's also a preparatory action for data spaces, and that my colleague later on will tell you more about it. As you know, data spaces are extremely important to be developed so that we can actually not only share the data, enhance it, and use it to a growth prospect. The second call, 28 million, focus on short-term training courses. These short-term training courses, as I told you before, will target the reskilling and upskilling of the existing workforce through short-term offers. And this will, one of the actions that will come out of this is the digital crash courses for SMEs that is listed under the SME strategy. So we're going to target that specific area. And there's also a CSA on the transformation of digital education. The third call, possibly going on to next year, will focus on specialized education programs, i.e. the masters that you've known. So this to give you an overview. My colleague Silvia will now also give you the detail so that we can dive in and network appropriately. Thank you very much.
Fabrizia, thanks to you for this presentation, and without further ado, I will give the floor to Silvia, who will now present in more details the first two calls that have been published a couple of weeks ago. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you everyone for being here. So I will dive directly into the first two calls that will be presented today. So these are open for application. These are the two calls that have already been mentioned by Fabrizia. You will find here the names that you will find also on the funding and tender portal. So these are not very sexy names, but these are the Digital Masters call and the Digital Skills Analysis call. Here you see the budget related to the two, so 70 million for Digital Masters and 2 million for the coordination and support action on the skills analysis. The deadline for application is the 17th of February 2022. Here you also have the link to the call documents, and we will publish this presentation on the Digital Skills and Jobs platform after the meeting. So if we go to the next slide, this is something you have already seen. For the master's call, I tried to put in each slide the title, the official title of the calls. And this is an easier reference to the call text. One thing which is important, both the CSA and the master call, we are on the same call text, which is the one linked in the previous slide. So the support is available for design and delivery of higher education programs at ISCED level 7, which means masters, and the programs can be of 60, 19, or 120 ECTS. As you can see, there are three different types of programs that is possible to finance. These are master programs in tech, digital technologies, what we call key capacity areas. We have artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, Fabrizia has already mentioned them, and you have the list here. Interdisciplinary programs. These are programs that focus on the use of digital technologies in a certain sector, and conversion courses, meaning courses for people with a non-ICT background that want to reskill in digital technologies. These options are not mutually exclusive in the sense that proposals can address more than one of these type of courses. So if we go to the next slide, Jakub. Okay, we can see the main feature of the calls. The budget is an important budget. Each project can receive up to 10 million euro. The duration is a 4-year duration for each project, and the co-financing is 50%. I've already seen a question in the chat. The co-financing can also be in-kind contribution. This is standard for the whole Digital Europe program, and it can also be private or public. So the objective is to train at least 150 students per year. It's an ambitious objective, but we think this is necessary in order to boost the number of people with advanced digital skills and skills related to digital technologies. It is necessary to train professionals to boost the adoption of digital technologies in all sectors. This is more related to the second type of master, meaning the ones integrating digital technologies in a certain sector or a certain field, increase the offer of education, both online and in presence. As for the CEF master call, also this call includes the provision of online modules to be deployed also on the Digital Skills and Jobs platform, and establish structural partnerships between the different members of the consortium that we will see also in the next slide if we go now. And then you will find all these requirements, of course, in the call text. You have the section related to the consortium composition, but it's very, very important also to look at the targeted stakeholders. So what you see here in the center is the required member for the consortium. You have 3 higher education institutions, 2 SMEs, and 1 excellence or research center. So these are the core member of the consortium. 1 higher education institution needs to be the coordinator of the consortium. What you see on the right side is the partners that are encouraged to be added to this consortium in order to contribute to the design and delivery of the master programs. Of course, the consortium needs to demonstrate inclusiveness, a broad geographical scope. It needs to demonstrate that its member has the necessary excellence, the necessary knowledge to deliver high-quality programs and solid links with the digital industry. So if we go to the next slide, we will see what is outlined in the section of the call, which is called section number 2. It's the scope. So what are the proposals, what we ask the proposals to detail in their text? First of all, the partnerships and the structure of the program. This is a very important element. We would like to know what are the types of degrees that will be awarded, what are the types of masters, so how this master will be designed and delivered by the different members of the consortia, and what is the added value of having these partnerships established. So how also we are financing these kind of projects, because we have seen there is a market failure. We have heard it from Gerard, from Fabrizia. We have the digital targets, and there is something that is missing in the EU. So how the master will also address the needs of the labor market and of the SMEs in particular, which are the ones that are having more difficulty in hiring ICT specialists. Then how the partnership will be sustainable. This is not a one-off exercise. We would like this partnership to be sustainable and continue working together. The online offer, again, we would like some parts. We have seen how important it is to be able to switch to online learning in difficult times. So how also the offer will be reinforced, and what is the added value compared to what it was before. Some higher education institutions might already have some programs, and what will be added with this new masters. The funding will also be available to upgrade technical facilities, so infrastructures, labs, where technical equipment is purchased or leased, how this will be used for the teaching, how this will put at the service of students, and how this will increase the quality of learning. We spoke about the teaching staff. We would like to support incentives for hiring or cooperating with people with the highest expertise in the field, in digital field, also coming from the private sector, but also to provide incentives to keep good trainers in the academia, in the university, in the training centers. So how the best teaching staff will be attracted, and how mobility can also be facilitated between the partners of the consortium. Of course, we need to publicize, we need to advertise these courses in order to attract students to go it. We have seen, we have sometimes digital master courses have a marketing problem. How can we increase diversity so a larger audience enroll and take part to these courses, and how we can attract more people to digital careers. Finally, in order to attract these people, we need to also to provide tools and provide easy access to the participants to these courses. Sometimes the fees are very high, which create a barrier in order to access these courses. So financial support to third parties is possible. The consortia can decide to give scholarship, fee waivers, or other non-financial contributions. Mobility is also encouraged in complementarity with Erasmus. So if we go to the next slide, we'll see what are the objectives. I think here we can go a bit quicker. We have already seen the delivery of the programs delivered by the higher education, which are part of the consortium, student support, structural partnership, and the online courses. If we go to the next slide, we see here what are the KPIs that each consortium will be required to report on. You see the number of program delivers, the students applying, trained, graduated, the numbers of certifications, and of course, KPIs on the partnership. What are the relationship between the member of the consortium? Now, I think we can go to the coordination and support action. I'm rushing a bit because I would like to also take some questions now. So this is the second call, as I said, always in the same call text. This is now called skills analysis. And the idea is to support, so this is not a simple grant as the one I was presenting before, but this is coordination and support action. whose objective is to support the rollout of initiatives for advanced digital skills development. It needs to provide insight of what is existing education offer and what are the needs. Of course, the idea is also to facilitate the interactions between the members, between the consortia that are awarded in the specialized call. If we go to the next slide, we see the characteristics of this call. The budget is up to 2 million euro. It's a very short time frame, as we want these also to provide insights for the next calls in the next work program, and not only the next one, but in the years to come. This is up to 18 months, and the funding rate is 100%. Here we don't have specific consortium requirement, but we would like, of course, the applicants to have knowledge and expertise in education and training system. They need, of course, to be related to digital technologies and in different countries, but also some sort of knowledge of the innovation, business, and research ecosystems, and that it has a network of stakeholders, including the higher education, which are key members of this of the consortia in the master call. If we go to the next slide, we see what are the deliverables. Here again, you will see part of the text call, which is called section 2. In the scope, you will find all this information, which are very relevant in order to submit your application. What we would like to have more insights on what is the needs of skills, the skills needs in digital sector. What are the emerging trends where we see the highest gap, and what should be addressed also in terms of the education offer. The skills needs, this is related once again to the second type of masters. What are the professions that are changing the most and that requires higher level of digital skills? How to increase excellence in this training and education offer. So if we want to attract more people, more EU students, but also more people from outside Europe, we need to make the education offer the best really in the world. Then we need to, this action should support, as I said, the interaction between the consortia formed within the other call, and devise and implement actions to increase awareness. So we need to make people aware that these new opportunities are available. If we go to the next slide, we see the KPIs here once again, that applicants will be required to report on. These are the number of studies on the skills analysis, the number of recommendations on how to improve the specialized learning opportunities, and the promotion and dissemination activities. Last slide on evaluation. So these are the evaluation criteria for both topics: relevance, implementation, and impact. These will be assessed against the actions that are described and the issues that proposals need to address in section 2 of the call text, objectives and scope. The implementation will also include the targeted stakeholders. As I said, this is a very important section to consult in the call text. And the impact, of course, the outcomes and deliverables and the KPIs. The maximum point for each proposal is 15 points, and here you see the individual threshold. So I stop here, and I'm ready for questions. Thank you.
Silvia, thank you very, very much, and thank you for taking a fast pace. We have received many questions. Let me read some for you. I just want to remind that, of course, we are collecting all the questions, and we will put them in the official Q&As, and you will be able to find them on the call website. But let me ask you the first question, the big one that we received, and I think many times it was repeated in the chat. It's about the excellence centers. So can you tell us more of the role of these excellence centers, what they are, how are they defined, what do they bring to the consortium? So if you can, and then I will have one more for you.
Thank you for this question. We have some, as I said, the targeted stakeholder section in the call text is very important. Here is where you will find how to identify research and excellence centers. There are a number of requirements that we have set out. Of course, these are where available. For example, there is a list of excellence centers in AI that have been awarded with a previous Horizon call, which is also linked here. And this is the network of AI Excellence Center. The official name is ICT 48 under Horizon 2020. So this is an example for AI Excellence Centers. But you will also have in the call text targeted stakeholder, you will see These are centers that have filed patent applications, or they have published scientific papers on scientific journals in the past years. So you will find some criteria that will allow you to understand what we mean with these excellent centers.
Silvia, thank you. And then there is one more question before we move to another presentation. It's about financing. So I'm reading it again. You said financing was 50%. What other kind of support the consortium can have? And what is the in-kind contribution?
Yes. The in-kind contribution means that it doesn't need to be a cash contribution. It doesn't have to be a financial contribution, but it can be, for example, renting of premises, utilization of some facilities. So this is what we mean for the in-kind contribution. But then we have a more specialized presentation by our colleague from the agency that are dealing with the implementation, so they can give you more details. But this is a general rule for the whole program. So there is also an online manual that can explain all this technical detail, and we will also post you the link in the chat, so it's easier to access.
Silvia, thank you very much. And indeed, we will be using the chat, but most importantly, we will be using the official documents on the call text. And if you want also to navigate better among the different calls and around the different information, you can visit the Digital Skills and Jobs website and platform. And my colleagues are sharing the link to a page which contains all the information and everything you need about the calls and links to the separate calls. Now, Silvia, thank you very much. Let's go to the next presentation. And I would like to invite Rehana Schwinninger-Ladak from also DG Connect, our colleague from DG Connect, who will talk about the data space for skills. So Rehana, we are very happy to have you with us, and please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jakub. So hello, everyone. Very good morning from grey and rainy Luxembourg. Indeed, I'm Rehana Schwinninger-Ladak, and the head of the unit which is in charge of interactive technologies, digital for culture and digital for education in DG Connect. As my unit is in charge of a number of data spaces, such as the European data space for cultural heritage, the data space for media, and the data space for tourism. And today I will speak to you about what are the plans for data space on skills, which starts with the first step, which is this call on the preparatory actions for the data space for skills, which is published under the specific objective 2 of the Digital Europe program, dealing with cloud, data, and AI. So this call is at the intersection of 2 big European initiatives, the Digital Decade, sorry about this, the Digital Decade 2030 vision, and the European Data Strategy Initiative. You heard earlier from Gerard and from Fabrizia the ambitious targets that we have for digital skills of the Digital Decade strategy. And allow me to explain to you briefly what we mean by data space and what is there in the data strategy. So the data strategy published in February 2020 announced that in order to harness the value of data, the Commission will invest in European data spaces in strategic economic sectors and domains of public interest. And this would help to nurture a genuine single market for data to flow freely within the EU and across sectors for the benefit of businesses, of public administration, of areas of public interest, for researchers. Now, we have seen during the COVID-19 pandemic the critical role of data and of digital technologies and the infrastructures that are needed to support the use of such technologies, and how important and crucial they have become for the way we work, we live, we collaborate, and we study, obviously. So the development of a common European data space in strategic sectors, as shown on these slides, like health, industrial manufacturing, mobility, cultural heritage, skills, they will help to accelerate the digital transformation in these fields, and thus also contribute to the targets of the digital decade objectives. And the ultimate goal is that once we have these sectoral data spaces, we will also link these data spaces to have the flows between them. And they will be supported by this data support center that you see in the middle as the middle layer, which will coordinate all these different data spaces and also ensure the common standards and the interoperability to have the flows between them. And furthermore, we will also have this first layer that you see, which is to develop a common technical infrastructure in relation to cloud and edge services, to all the middleware solutions, to the, for instance, the AI solutions that can be then used by data spaces. So, Jakub, if you can go to the next slide. So, what are, and that is really important here to understand the call, what is a data space? Huh? What are the key characteristics of a data space, and really the crucial component on which it is going to expand? So obviously the first one is the secure, privacy enhancing, robust IT infrastructure, which will allow to facilitate the data pooling, the access to the data, the processing that we will need, the use and the sharing of data, because this is the ultimate goal. And this is the precondition for a wider availability of data across the different sectors. And the objective is that this infrastructure will be robust enough to to be able to handle large common data pools. Second thing, which is absolutely crucial, is the data governance mechanism, where you really have clear rules that determine the rights to access, to process, use, and share data in a trustful and transparent manner. What we have seen with some of the early activities is when you have a governance mechanism that really clears this upfront, then the sharing of data is facilitated significantly. Then an important characteristic is that data holders are in control of who can have access to their data, for which kind of purpose, and what are the conditions for the reuse. So you may have different levels of conditions. You may have a reuse where you have an access which is possible, but a reuse for commercial purpose which is not possible. You can have a reuse, an access which is possible with a reuse for commercial or for commercial purpose with some restrictions. So there are a huge number of possibilities there in relation to what the data holders accept in terms of access and reuse. Another key characteristics is, of course, the voluntary basis. So nobody is forced, no organizations can be forced. If you take part in this data space, it means that you want to be part of it. You see the value in your data being shared and then being reused, because one of the important things of this data space, it's the value that will come when different kind of data sets are brought together. And this can be the reuse can be also against it. It can be for free, or it can be against remuneration, depending also on the IPR and copyrights that may play in the case of the data space. And of course, the data space. It's not a small club. It's really, the idea is to have a large number of organizations and individuals who can come in, but who can also go out. So there should be entry and exit conditions which are quite clear for those who want to join. And this brings me to the next slide, which is about this specific data space. So the overall objective is to provide ultimately a secure data space to support the sharing and the reuse of data in relation to skills for a number of purposes that can go from analytical purpose to statistical purpose to policy development or reuse in different kind of innovative applications. Of all stakeholders, obviously, the enormous potential, be it for database of job offers, list of curricula, certifications, inventory of topics that are studied, that can help to better define either human resource, training, the business or education policy needs. And it can also help to reduce the supply and demand gaps of digital experts. So given the huge number of potential use and reuse, the data space will really look at developing this trusted space for exchanging the data. Now, this specific call is not about the full deployment. Here, what we are doing is we are calling for a preparatory action to lay the foundations for a future development, because it's really important to scope it well to understand what is out there. And that's why you have all this listing in the scope, as it is a coordination and support action. It will have the typical scope of such a kind of action, which is the design, to design the conceptual approaches and the methodologies for sharing high quality data based on really a robust study of what is out there in terms of existing platform. It will elaborate the advantages and the disadvantages. It will propose a methodology for assessing the relevance and credibility of such a skills data space. It will develop a multi-stakeholder governance scheme. It will engage the community. And of course, it will get a broad consensus, because the data space is about getting as many stakeholders taking part in it. So it's really important that the community buys in. And there you have in the slides, which I think will be published and shared, you have the full scope. And I think Jakub, you can go to the next slide. So the outcomes and deliverables. Now you have there all the outcomes and the deliverables that are listed. And now what is important here is that you take into account all these bullet points, as each of them will contribute to the future deployment action. And when you develop your work plan, you also take into account the fact that we will expect that you deliver mid-interim results that will allow us to inform the next deployment project. And here, the outcomes, I'm not going to list them, all of them, because I'm already exceeding my timing, but really please go through them, read them carefully, because they are important also in the way we are going to be analyzing, assessing your proposal. And also take into account that the project will have to collaborate with the Data Space Support Center. So this is also a dimension which is important to add. Important data here in relation to the submission. So the deadline is the 22nd of February at 5 p.m. Brussels time. The eligibility condition is that the consortium has to be composed of 3 entities coming from 3 eligible countries. It will last for 12 months. And the budget, as it's a preparatory action, it's 1 million euros. And the funding will be 100% of eligible costs. Voilà. And with this, thank you for your attention, and Jakub, back to you.
Rehana, thank you very much. And we see that we have a lot of questions, not only about this particular call, but about all the calls. We are collecting, of course, these questions, and we will be replying to them very shortly. But before that, I will still give the floor to my colleagues from the HDEA agency, Basak and Charmaine, who would give you a quick preview or quick guidance on how to apply and how to practically use the funding and tendering portal. So Basak, Charmaine, the floor is yours. Please, Basak, unmute yourself. Sorry, we did not hear you yet.
Sorry.
Now it's okay, yes.
Yeah. Sorry, this is a bit slow today. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for being with us today. Together with my colleague Charmaine, we will give you an overview about the application. So we can go straight to the first slide, not to be delayed, if that's possible. Yes, so here we go. This is the first famous funding and tenders portal. As many of you are participating from universities or research institutes, I'm sure that you are very familiar with this site, as you are applying, I assume, to Horizon 2020, and you are using the same tools. We are going to be a bit basic here because we want to also address to the newcomers. So apologies if we are taking your time for the experienced ones. So here what we put already the link of the portal where the link will take you directly to the portal, and here obviously you need to look for the Digital Europe program. All documents and submission guidance will be available under the program itself. So this is the screen interface which you will see when you go to the portal. And as Silvia mentioned, it's important, and from your questions we understand that there is a confusion about this, that in the call document there are two independent topics. And these are, first one is about the advanced digital skills analysis, and for your also convenience we provided the direct link on the slide to that program. And second one is the specialized education programs, which is the master's call. And this is the screen interface again that you will see for both programs, where you will see all the information. And this is the rest of the screen where you will have topic conditions and documents. And under that, when you read the condition documents, you will also see documents part where you have the call document. It's important to remember that link, because we are already setting you a challenge from the start that it's a little bit hidden, but I'm sure with the help of the slides you will be able to find that. So this is the screen interfaces. Again, you are seeing after going to the page, you are going to be taken, when you are ready, you read all the documents, you will be taken to the start submission, where you start your submission and application, and then you will be asked to confirm your choice. Please make sure that you are applying to the right intended topic, and then you start creating your proposal. Please do not miss the deadline. It's 22nd of February. And then you will see here to complete you will ask to find your organization, where you have to do this through PIC. So this is an opportunity for me to remind you that it's extremely important to fill in all your data in the participant folder, in the participant portal correctly, and update it with the last information, not only for the application, but later on you will find that hopefully if you get the grant, if you achieve, it will be very useful for you to reduce the interaction with us if this information is exactly correct and up to date. So this is it from me, and I leave the floor to our other call coordinator, Charmaine from HADEA. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Basak, for that. And in the next 4 slides, I will focus more specifically on the different parts that need to be submitted for the application, as well as the compulsory annexes that need to be submitted in order to ensure that the application is fully submitted. So as you can see on the screen in front of you, there are 2 parts to the application. So there's part A and part B. In part A, basically, this is an online form which needs to be completed, whereby you will include the administrative information. So basically, as Basak mentioned, the PIC number in order to identify the different partners, the budget that is being requested. Specific attention needs to be given to the specialized education program in key capacity areas, that is the master's program, whereby under this section, the budget for the financial support to third parties, this needs to be completed. On the other hand, for the digital skills analysis, this part does not need to be completed. It doesn't have to be completed. As for the part B, which is more the technical specifications of your proposal, there is a template where you will be able to download this template, and in this part B, you will include the work plan, the timing, any subcontracting foreseen. What is important as well is the mandatory annexes, which need to be uploaded. So in this regard, for both digital skills calls, you need to upload a list of previous projects and complete the securities issues table. So basically, these are the two main parts of your application which needs to be submitted. So there's a part A and part B. Another point I'd like to mention on the part B is that for the coordination and support action, so that is the specialized digital skills, there is a page limit of 50 pages. So make sure that when you're preparing your proposal, you stick to this 50 pages. On the other hand, for the advanced digital skills, the page limit is 70 pages. As you can see at the very bottom of the slide where you have validate, once you have uploaded your documents and you press validate, you might get warnings that the document might be over than 50 pages. Or so when you're completing your application, ensure that you validate and look into the warnings that you're getting so that they will be addressed. And when you basically are ready to submit your proposal will be submitted. What I'd like to point out on the previous slide, just back to the yes. So on the left hand side, you will find the part of the part B which needs to be downloaded, the template. On the other hand, on the right hand side, where you have part B and the annexes, it's where you need to upload the part B and the mandatory annexes to be submitted. So if we move on to the next slide. So how can you basically look for information or even request if you have any questions that you'd like to submit? So there's two channels of communication between applicants and the commission. So there's a form whereby you can submit your questions on topic specific related questions, as well as a frequent asked questions section. So in the topics related frequent asked questions, from time to time, we will collect all the questions that are constantly being asked, and we will post them. We will post the question and answer there where they will be visible to all applicants. On the other hand, there is another part, the second part, so under the get support, where you will have the opportunity to complete a form and submit your question, and then we will revert back with the reply. Another documents which would be very useful and good to refer to as a first point once you're looking into the tenders and funding and tenders portal is the funding and tenders portal frequent asked questions on how to submit a proposal. Additionally, there's an IT help desk in case you have forgotten your password, access rights, roles, etc. And as well on an online manual, which will give you a step-by-step explanation and process on how to complete and submit a proposal. If we move on to the next slide, so as I mentioned earlier, there's this form. So if you have any topic-related questions, this is the form to be completed in order to submit your questions. So overall, that is, hopefully it covers and addresses most of your questions, and we'll be happy to address any questions when it comes to the submission of proposals. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Charmaine and Basak, for these presentations. We see again that we are getting many questions in the chat. We try to reply to them to the chat. If the questions are relevant to the calls, we will put them already in the FAQ, so you will see them there. I just want to also remind that we will, of course, publish the slides from today, and we will also publish the recording of today's session. But I will now invite, for the remaining 15 minutes that we have, or 13 minutes, I will invite again Silvia to the room, if she can come, because we have collected some questions, and I think it would be more than useful for everyone in the room to start answering these questions. So Silvia, if you can, I will read these questions, and I will also try to put them on the screen so that we can see them. I will start with the question on the next calls. When will the second and third calls reopen? And what is the difference between masters in the first and third call?
Okay, so the indicative opening dates for the second call is end of February for the moment. We still don't know the exact date, and the other, it will be mid 2022.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question is about the consortium composition. So do partnerships in the consortia have to be pan-European, or can partners come from the same country?
So the idea is to have 3 higher education institutions from 3 different member states. As you can see in the previous slide, I said it's important that the consortia are inclusive. So this is not forbidden that, for example, you have the SME from the same nationality of one of the higher education institution, but the more the merrier, in the sense that the more inclusive the consortium is, this will add value also to the delivery, but of course is not forbidden.
Silvia, thank you very much. There are 2 more questions on the consortium now about the universities, and I think you can also see it on the slide. All higher institutions are eligible to participate, or is this limited only to universities?
So you higher institution need to be, you will find all these requirements once again in the consortium composition section of the call text. There you have the link. So this needs to be degree awarding institutions that are enrolled into the Erasmus Charter for higher education. So all the requisites are there.
Okay, thank you very much. You already mentioned a lot on the consortium composition, so I guess unless you want to add anything, I think we can move to the next questions, right? Or is there anything on the consortium still that you think it's important to keep in mind and what to follow?
No, it's 3 higher education institutions. One of them needs to be the coordinator, 2 SMEs, and 1 excellence or research center. These are the core member of the consortia. And then, as you have seen in the slides, there are also other entities that are encouraged to be affiliated.
Yes, thank you. And we hope that today's event, also the pitching sessions and the matchmaking sessions, will help you to explore what the potential consortia could be, maybe to find potential partners. And we will have these sessions starting only in 10 minutes. I have one question on the independence between the 2 calls. Are these 2 calls independent from each other, or can I apply only to the support analysis one?
Yes, so this is very relevant. These 2 calls, despite the fact that they are in the same text, they are totally independent. So it is possible to apply only for one of them, which is what we expect actually, because these are very different interventions. These are very different projects.
Okay, thank you very much. I will now delete these questions and I'll start adding new ones as they come.
But it's okay. I think we can just, go through them. It's not necessary to write them in the...
Yeah, but I think it's good to see them also, that people can see them, so that when we don't need to read them. What is the general idea regarding crash courses for SMEs? This is of course, not for the current calls, but we can also already look ahead a little bit.
Yes, this is related to the second call, and here the idea is to provide more flexible learning opportunities for those SMEs that are interested in upskilling their employees, but also upskilling for SMEs, for business owners, and of course to facilitate the uptake of digital solutions in their businesses. We see that SMEs often struggle in finding time to attend these courses, finding the possibilities in order to have more training. So this is really should be a tailor-made, flexible offer that meets their needs.
Okay, Silvia, thank you very much. More questions are coming now about the number of master students per year. So we have 150 master students per year as a requirement. Does that mean that 600 students total for a 4-year project, or is it allowed to have a ramp-up phase, for example, for the new program? So it means 450 for a 4-year project.
Okay, so what we have learned from the CEF master code is that a ramp-up phase is needed. This will, of course, be allowed, and we didn't want to be prescriptive there. It's up to the consortia to decide how much time they need in order to deliver the master, but bear in mind that, you know, we aim for very high quality projects, very ambitious. So it's 150 students per year, but of course, as is also written in the call, we will reward also the higher level of ambitions of each consortia, provided that it is realistic.
Thank you, Silvia. Let me go to the geographical scope, because of course that's also, we have many people from all over Europe and even a little bit beyond here today. So do all consortium partners have to be in the EU? What about partner from the UK or from other countries? We saw participants from Turkey, from Macedonia. So what is the geographic scope, if you can remind?
Yes, the eligible entities to the Digital Euro program for the moment are EU and EEA countries. There are some countries that have asked to be associated, but this is an ongoing negotiation process. And for the moment, the UK has not asked to be part of the Digital Euro program. So they can participate, but they will not receive funding from the the Digital Euro program.
Thank you, Silvia. I'm now taking in the real time, really a hot question that just arrived in the chat. What financial rules apply? Same as for Horizon Europe. Is there a financial guide?
Yes. So this, I think Basak is better placed to reply to it. But then there is, maybe we also have a slide on it. There is an online manual in order to detail all these rules. Maybe we can just put it on the screen, or I don't know if Basak wants to add something on this.
No, probably this can be a good question that we take as frequently asked questions, and we provide a detailed information on it, because it will be too rushed now to go through this. They have the grant agreements, model grant agreements, where all the relevant rules are clearly indicated there. They could have a look at that, but we can also provide links in the frequently asked questions. So please follow the frequently asked questions. For that, we will include this and all the answers and relevant information. Thank you.
Basak, also thank you very much. Maybe Silvia, can you remind once more about these 4 master courses funded under the Connecting Europe facility? What that people how can they see them, and what their role was? Fabrizia already mentioned it in her presentation, but I think it would be useful for participants here to see what these are about.
Yes, so these were the 4 pilots we financed during 2020. We need to highlight that these are 2 different programs that follow 2 different rules. With the Connect Europe facility, we focused, for example, only on one area, which was AI. Here we are open to much more technology areas. The budget is much higher per project, so we have raised, if you want, the level of ambitions. We also included support to students and teaching staff, which was not in equipment, which was not among the priorities of the soft call. So we see even higher level of ambitions. We finance already very ambitious masters with the first pilot call, but with the Digital Euro program, we want to enlarge the scope to all technology areas and see even more interaction in the member of the consortia.
Thank you, Silvia. We will still have like 2 or 3 minutes for 2 or 3 questions. This one came pretty early today, but I think it's relevant and you might want to answer it. Can a master program focus on the application of digital technologies in a sector which is not listed explicitly in the call text, such as AI in education? Now you're muted, sorry.
Sorry, the examples you have in the call text are, of course, only examples. Other areas can be targeted as well.
Okay, Silvia, thank you very much. Let me have a quick look at the questions, because our team has collected many of them. I'm just looking whether there is something that we can reply still now. And what we could eventually keep for the Q&As. Yes, there was one, we have touched this already, but maybe to remind again, the question on the specialized education program in key capacity areas. So on who can apply, because we have 2 calls here. So does the call analysis is independent from the main call on the specialized education program, or can only are these connected so that you, when you apply to one, it only qualifies you that you would apply to the second? Question, Silvia. Sorry, you are muted.
Okay, sorry. These are 2 completely separate calls, and so the CSA is made in order to support and facilitate interaction between consortia, also provide more insights on the skills needs. But these are 2 different questions, 2 different call texts, 2 different submission process. Everything is different.
And maybe a last question, if we can, on the call analysis grant. How many projects will be funded with the 2 million euros for the Skills 01 analysis grant? 1, 10?
It will be only 1. Yes, it's only one project.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we are now 1 minute from the plenary, from the parallel sessions. Thank you very much to all of you for being with us today. And thanks to all our great speakers who hopefully made the calls and made the whole process a little bit more understandable to you. Now, we invite you to go to the parallel sessions. You can find them and the links to them in your agenda in B2 Match. And we would be very happy to see you there, because we have 20 pitches, 10 in each room, where organizations such as universities, digital innovation hubs, excellence centers will present, or companies, of course, will present themselves or will present of what they would like to achieve under these calls. And just one last thing, find more information and sign up for the community on the Digital Skills and Jobs platform. That's the place where we will be interacting with you. That's where you will find information. But of course, a reminder, all the official information and all the official Q&As will be on the call websites. So thank you very much for all. And I very much invite you to come to the parallel sessions now. You need to leave this room, go to your B2 Match agenda, go to the plenary session that you choose based on the pitches in there. And then don't forget that at 11:30 you can already start booking also the one-to-one meetings. And as I said, all the questions that we collected and did not manage to answer today, we will publish them in the upcoming days and weeks. Thank you very much. And enjoy the rest of the day, and good luck with all your activities under this call or even beyond. Thank you and take care. Goodbye.
Across Germany, but we also have a very global footprint. I myself am based in Munich. Maybe just a couple of words about my background. I have a background in engineering. I did my PhD in innovation management, technology and innovation management at the University of Cambridge, then joined the Boston Consulting Group for some consulting for a little while. And I've now joined the IU to help basically help our growth projects, help our business development, and see what other sort of projects we can run around the world. Maybe Silvia, if you could go to the next slide, please. So the IU, International University of Applied Sciences, who are we? We are the largest university in Germany as of this year. We have more than 85,000 students now, which makes us Germany's largest university. We are really a disruptor of higher education. So our mission is to empower people to succeed in a digital world by innovative teaching, training, and coaching. What does this mean? So we're now about 20 years old, and we started focusing on online teaching long before COVID. I think about 2012 is when we started our online teaching program. And this really means online first. So with our online distance learning, we target not only high school leavers, but we target working adults as well, to enable everybody to really achieve higher education. We have more than 300 degree programs. So this is bachelor, masters, and MBAs. We are currently in Germany. We have more than 28 locations across the country. But we are also present in 170 countries across the world, which is made possible by our online distance learning. Maybe if we could go to the next page, please. So as I said, we have more than 300 different programs across very different aspects at the moment. I've highlighted here our various courses, amongst others, of our IT and data section, because this is what's really quite relevant for this particular call. So we're interested in applying for the master's call of the Digital Europe program, and are still looking for consortium partners. So we have a lot of experience in offering digital learning, not just the courses that we run, but we really are really how can I call it? We're very experienced in digital learning, not just in the courses that we run, but in the way that we run them. So all of our courses are available in different formats. So that's, as I said, distance, part-time, full-time, dual, blended. So our students can choose whether they want to do part of the course online, part of the course on a campus. It's very flexible, very personalizable to each individual need. We also work together with more than 10,000 different corporate partners to deliver our programs, which makes us very well positioned for this EU call, because we can also help bring some of these corporate partners, hopefully, into a consortium. So I think this is pretty much all from me. If there's any questions, I don't know if I have more time left, or if we do questions at the end. I'll leave that up to Silvia.
Thank you very much, Marta. Considering that you have been very, very on time, you still have 1 minute for in case someone asks a question. Otherwise, we will go to the next presentation. Let me see if I see something in the chat. I don't see anything, but please feel free to continue asking chats or reach out to Marta in case you have questions.
Brilliant. Then maybe just one more thing, if I have 10 more seconds.
Sure.
We are very much looking to also expand our European footprint, which I should have maybe said a little earlier. So we're especially looking at Paris and Madrid at the moment, of even putting up a campus there. So especially in those areas, geographically, we're looking for partners as well. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. So a message for the French and the Spanish here from Marta. We will go to the next presentation now. This is Jakob Scherson, I hope I pronounced it well, from Umeå University, Science at Home Center for Hybrid Intelligence. The floor is yours. Not sure if you're speaking, but we don't hear.
Okay. Now it will be okay. So thank you very much. As Silvia said, I'm at Aarhus University in Denmark, where I am a professor both at the physics department and the Department of Management. But in this pitch, I'm more representing the entire quantum community, and I want to just tell you briefly about the efforts that we have been doing over the past year within the Quantum Technology Education CSA, to bring together a community, and I want to then tell you how we are trying to put together a master's call that will benefit the entire community. And then I will tell you in the next slide, I will tell you about how I think that the experiences that we have been and the efforts that we have set in motion could benefit the advanced skills mapping call. So we have within what we call QT Edu set up community actions in which we have set up 5 working groups. We now have 300 members in all of quantum, so that is from universities, industry, training institutions. And in addition to that, we have then set up a number of pilots in areas from outreach, high school education, bachelor, master, and industry training. And I want to highlight here 2 of the pilots that we have set in motion, one called Effect and one called QTOM, which together brings almost 50 partners from all of Europe in initiating new and innovative ways in which we can interconnect master's education. So all of that is then put together into what we call a master's ecosystem, a pan-European master's ecosystem. And the pitch that we are presenting is that rather than benefiting just 3 higher education institutions, we envision that we can actually create an ecosystem shells in which we have formally connected master's programs at the inner core, but then we have a number of partners coming out that all will benefit from the resources that we are creating within this call. So if you want to, if you're interested, reach out to me. And if you go to the next slide, then I will talk a little bit about the infrastructures that we are putting in place that I think can benefit the skills mapping grant. So we have QT Edu 1. In the next efforts, we will be scaling up these efforts in terms of mapping all of the European activities within quantum. we'll be setting up a virtual quantum training institute with hands-on open source curated training modules. We'll also be setting up what we call the European Quantum Education Center, which is really a center to track all of the universities and institutions in terms of their quantum readiness. We will be introducing gold, silver, bronze operationalization accreditation for this in order to incentivize all of the universities to participate as much as possible in mapping the skills development and in joining all of the activities that we have. So we believe that these kinds of initiatives are something that can inspire all of the other master's programs also, and therefore that we could be a very good partner in the advanced skills mapping, so that this comes to the benefit of all of the European high technology sectors. Personally, as an AU partner, I'm also the head of a Center for Hybrid Intelligence, which leads a consortium of 30+ researchers and companies that are exploring human-centered AI. And we are creating something that we call a competence framework for AI that will be used in educational sectors. In my research units, we also are world leading in game-based assessment of 21st century skills. And I'm also the scientific advisor of something called the Learning Economy, which is a global non-profit, which is called the Steward of the Internet Education, where we work together with, for instance, the American and the European governments in terms of using interoperability in skills certification using blockchain to be able to solve the skills gap. With that, I thank you very much for your attention, and reach out to me if you're interested.
Thank you very much, Jakub. A number of interesting projects and information. I would like just to reply to one question. We will also include this in the FAQ. So there is a special mention of what Marta is asking in the chat, which is, can we apply even if we already have a program in place? So the idea is we do not exclude universities that already have programs in place, but in the application, we really need to state what is the added value of your participation into a consortia that is delivering a new product. So the end product with this new consortia needs to be a new product, and what is your contribution to this new product needs to be spelled out. But of course, you're not excluded. If you have an expertise, of course, you can benefit also the others with your expertise in this. But you will find also this question, we will add it to the FAQ. So I will move now to the third speaker, who he is Iker Demirkol. So this is difficult for me as an Italian, coming from ICT Systems Engineering Skills, Università Politecnica de Catalunya. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me well. Thank you for the introduction. So our purpose here in Technical University of Catalonia in Barcelona is that we are looking forward to create a master degree or collaborate in a master degree program which will include Internet of Things topic. And we believe that the digital skills necessary for IoT actually can be defined under 3 categories. One is on the top left, I try to represent this, informatics. So today, when we are talking about IoT, when we have these things need some intelligence, and this intelligence comes from informatics. It comes from the software we put on these things, intelligent things. And then another necessary skill that we need from such IoT paradigm is the electronics. So this is represented on the right top hand side. So we believe that like the embedded systems will be an important part of the Internet of Things. And today, through the embedded systems, we can actually add intelligence to many things. So we can collect information through sensors, but we need this like electronic knowledge to incorporate sensors into these things that we want to add intelligence to, right? Another digital skill that we need is represented on the left bottom side. is the telecommunications, the communication of these things that we have. So when we are talking about Internet of Things, the connection to Internet, not just the connection to Internet, but maybe connection to create a network between certain objects, and then these objects have a gateway to connect to Internet, right? So we believe that when we talk about Internet of Things, these three digital skills are necessary. So can we go to the next slide, please? So what we believe that in the Department of Mining, Industrial and ICT Engineering, in our department, which is a very interdisciplinary department. So we have this mining engineering part, industrial engineering part, and information and communication technologies engineering part in our department. We have this interdisciplinary environment. We believe that we can provide these digital skills, considering the IoT, the electronics aspects, the telecommunication aspects, and the informatics aspects. So we are already doing this. We have this group of professors here that provide such knowledge through the bachelor degree program that we have in ICT Systems Engineering program. And apart from that, we have other professors here in the department, for example, for industrial engineering, for electronics engineering. So we are very interdisciplinary department here, and the call calls for actually interdisciplinary programs to be developed. So we are interested in joining consortiums that are planning to incorporate IoT or these digital skills that I mentioned in their program. One target that you might have is this master's in IoT engineering, actually, but it doesn't have to be only such degree. Another thing that we were considering was we have automotive engineering bachelor degree, where we are having this like mechanical parts of the automotive engineering being introduced to the students. But we believe that also the connected vehicle is the future. Autonomous vehicles are the future. There also we can bring certain skills that we can have from the mechanical parts, we can have from the telecommunications part, the informatics part, to such a degree. Okay, thank you for listening to me, and I'll be available for any meetings that we can have after this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ilker, and thank you for reminding the possibility of having a speed dating after the session. So I really encourage you to get in touch. Next speaker is Fredrik Heinz from Linköping University. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fredrik Heinz, and I'm a professor of computer science at the Linköping University in Sweden. And I'm here to present our university as your AI Research Excellence Center partner. Please, next slide. Linköping University is a relatively new university. We were founded in mid-70s, but we have been doing AI research since the start. So actually the first professor of computer science in Sweden was Erik Sandevall, who was also the first professor or one of the first professors at Linköping University. So AI has really been at the core of our activities since the founding in the 70s. Today, Linköping University is a relatively large university. We have more than 30,000 students, and we are involved in more or less all the both national and European initiatives related to AI research and nationally also very much into AI education. So, for example, we are the host of the largest individual research program in Sweden, namely the Wallenberg AI Autonomous Systems and Software Program, WASP, where we have a funding of about 550 million euros over 15 years, and the goal of educating at least 600 PhDs in these areas of AI autonomous systems and software. We are also one of the partners in the national initiative on professional competence in AI called AI Competence of Sweden. So here we're really pushing, working together at the national level on improving and providing education for professionals. which of course is very important. We also are a partner in what was originally known as AI Innovation of Sweden, but is currently known as AI Sweden, with the goal of accelerating the use of AI in both the public and the private sector. So there we are hosting one of the national nodes in this national network. We have also involved in what's called the AI Sustainability Center, where we're helping companies and organizations to use AI, apply AI in a long-term ethical and sustainable manner. I am also the coordinator of one of the 4 European networks of research AI research excellence centers, so the ICT 48 networks. So the network that I'm leading is called Taylor, and we are developing the scientific foundations for trustworthy AI. And we're doing that through the integration and combination of techniques coming from learning, optimization, and reasoning, which is very much in line with our own research, both in my group at the university, namely that we're very good at integrating multiple different AI technologies into working systems. So, for example, we have worked a lot with unmanned aircraft systems. So we have fully autonomous and collaborative, intelligent unmanned aircraft systems more than 15 years ago. So that's when I did my PhD. As part of that project, we built these to collaborate with first responders and rescue workers of different types. We are also a member of the Kerr network, through which, of course, we have access to the European excellence. And we are also, or I am a member of the ADRA, the newly formed AI Data and Robotics Association, which is the private partner in this AI Data and Robotics public-private partnership, which was, we had a launch event last week. And I'm also the president of the Swedish AI Society. So through Linköping University, you get access to, and we can contribute with all the different things that we are working with in all these different initiatives, both at the national and international level. And we also have what we, collected the AI activities in an AI center, which I am leading, where we have both the research, education, and collaboration in one place, so we can easily work together with different organizations. And we are a truly interdisciplinary research institute, so we both have the computer science, the electrical engineering, but also the humanities and social sciences that's related to this broader, more modern definition of AI. Next slide, final slide, please. There's been a study, so we have a lot of AI courses and we don't have any specific AI programs at the moment, but we have, of course, the standard computer science and computer engineering programs where AI is a major part. And there was a study done by Lund University which showed that we have the most AI courses in Sweden, both at the bachelor and the master's level. And what we are looking for now is both to be a partner or to be part of a consortia related to this digital skills analysis. So we're also working nationally on analyzing the need for skills. And we're also very much interested in special education programs, mainly in the area of AI, but we are a broad university, so there might be other opportunities as well. And to give one example, we are running or hosting this Elements of AI course that was developed in Finland. We are running the Swedish version of that, and we are awarding university credits for that. So we are used to running courses with thousands of students every semester, and to also award university credits for that. And we're very much interested in exploring how we can bring AI education to broader communities and to really make sure that Europe has the digital skills that we need in the area of AI, but broader as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fredrik. I will give now the floor to the next speaker, who is Alexandru Bobe from the Umeå University of Constanța.
Thank you, Silvia. Good morning to you all. I'm Alexandru Bobe, as Silvia said. I'm a vice rector of the University of Constanța. Because I am a mathematician, the numbers for today's speech are 1, 4, 3, 1. It's not a short emergency number, of course, and for sure they are not the winning numbers of the lottery. Those 4 numbers represent, in fact, the path of Ovidius University of Constanța to reach cybersecurity. Today, on 1st of December, actually the Romania National Day, I'll explain 4 years in which we have made 3 small steps that represent one important leap for our university. Being a young but ambitious comprehensive university with 18,000 students, we wanted to create a cross-campus entrepreneurial culture based on a digital new idea. So we wanted to create an unique one-stop shop interdisciplinary center that generates and transfers knowledge to regional companies, and helping the ecosystem to become more competitive by using safe digital technologies. So again, the big umbrella is cybersecurity. Not by chance, the 5 digital innovation hubs that were selected in 2018 were from Constanța, Bucharest, Brașov, Timișoara, and Cluj, and the only university at that time was Ovidius University. In 2019, Ovidius University, with the Constanța Chamber of Commerce and also with Constanța Metropolitan Area Association, National Association of Women Entrepreneurs, Ernst & Young and Iceberg, formed a new consortia and applied for national EDIC call. And in 2020, were selected by Romanian Authority for Digitalization to participate in the European DIC competition. Next slide, please. Presently, we at Ovidius University of Constanța, we have finished the implementation of an EU-funded 2-year project for human resources named ProInfo, and managed by me, which had, in fact, the most important objective to provide training program for teachers, high schoolers, and students in cybersecurity. Therefore, 6 courses have been written in order to approach several aspects of cybersecurity domain through connected topics. Each course has a very important applicative component, 28 hours per course, and all the labs are presented by top specialized trainers in cybersecurity from Romanian Intelligence Service National CyberHEAD and Romanian National Computer Security Incident Response Team. In 2020 and also in 2021, at the Catch the Flag contest, our teams succeeded to evolve and to reach even in the first 10% and 20% of the participants. From this program, we have developed 3 services. First, a master program in cybersecurity and machine learning, which runs from this academic year at full capacity, a cybersecurity operations center with Orange Romania for small SMEs and small public administration, and last but not the least, a short-term training program in advanced digital skills in cybersecurity for employees. Now we are interested in a COIL courses with other competence centers or DICs or universities, and together to be more powerful and apply in the next call. Thank you, Silvia.
Thank you very much, Alexandru. I will give now the floor to Lennart Edblom from Umeå University. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I'm from Umeå University, and my goal is to explain to you why we are an attractive partner for developing European master programs. We can take the next slide. We are the largest university in North Sweden. We were founded about 50 years ago, and we have grown, so we have 34,000 students and around 4,300 employees. I am an associate professor at the Computing Science Department. We have expanded rapidly the last 5 years, and we are a very multinational department. We have attracted competence in key areas like AI, for example, from several European countries, and we are now close to 200 employees. We have a long experience of education on bachelor, master, and doctoral level. And we have also some experience with online education during the last years, or actually not only the last years, but only previously. And we are interested in participating in proposals for specialized education program at master's level in these key capacity areas that is the focus of this call. So we can take the next slide. So why are we an attractive partner, you might ask? Well, mostly that depends on our scientific and educational qualifications, but in addition, we can also mention that we would give a consortium a broad geographical coverage, which is of some interest. But basically, we have qualified research, European research on European top level in most of these key areas. For example, in artificial intelligence, we are partners in the AI for EU project and Humane AI Net, that is one of the ICT 48 projects. Also in high performance computing, cybersecurity, autonomous distributed systems. We have participated in European projects in all these areas. So we have experience from European collaboration. We have also experience from coordinating ITN projects during FP7 and Horizon 2020. These are called doctoral networks now, so it's education on doctoral level. But this experience could also be valuable for master's programs. And we are participating in an Erasmus Plus project, developing a framework for trustworthy AI. We are also running national master's program in artificial intelligence and computer science. And I said national, but they are wholly given on English. So we are ready to accept international students. And we already accept international students, of course. So if you want to discuss this further, please contact me. You see my name and email address on the slide. So thank you.
Thank you very much. You even spare us 1 minute. So if you want to say one conclusive remark, otherwise we can go to the next speaker. Okay,
yes.
So I will introduce you Gerard Keefe from Allwayswithyou, an integrated care platform for the next pitching. Thank you.
Thank you, Silvia. Good morning, Gerard Keefe here from Allwayswithyou, an SME based in Ireland, and happy to introduce you to the Allwayswithyou virtual hospital. So imagine a scenario where the future of integrated care delivery is based in your home. Allwayswithyou enhances the delivery of both social and healthcare services with the goal of extending health and well-being of patients or our users based in their own homes. This impacts our loved ones, our parents, our grandparents, but one day will also impact you and I. So we achieve this by integrating multiple services. These services include medication, biometrics, virtual consultation, smart home, social, and other services. The Allwayswithyou platform ingests this data from these services via APIs, but also using widely available wearables that we're showing here that bring together a summary of main biometrics and symptoms of patients. So imagine a scenario now where there's a clinical or care team monitoring these biometrics in pseudo real time in a virtual hospital deployment. And imagine that we use an AI engine, AI services to support the clinical staff to reduce their workload, to run more efficient workflows by using trend analysis and anomaly detection by care pathway from the patients. This is the Allwayswithyou virtual hospital, and where we challenge the fundamental paradigm of healthcare delivery while offering the taxpayer improved value for money in healthcare expenditure. The Allwayswithyou platform is already in pilot in a number of regions across Europe, and we're looking for additional partners as we continue to develop the future of the virtual hospital in Europe. So that's a quick summary to Allwayswithyou. I'm very happy to hear from you as interested partners, co-travelers, as we continue on this journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ger. I will give now the floor to Anna Maria Stancu from Bucharest Robots. I think it's another SME. Thank you. We don't hear you, Ana Maria. Can you please turn on your mic? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nice meeting you today. Indeed, we are an SME in Romania. We are a startup mostly on humanoid and service robots. What we do is robot integration application for robots and service for them. We work a lot with IoT. We do big data analytics, and we are using RPA, robotic process automation, mainly the solution from Romania. We also work in precision agriculture and autonomous tractors, and we founded Smart AgroDih, which is a digital innovation hub on technology in agriculture. We also do research and development for certain clients. We also do trainings on automation and robotics. We provide consultancy on analyzing the potential of automation in companies because sometimes they don't know exactly which way to go. And we do robotics and programming classes, mostly for vulnerable groups. Next slide, please. What we also do, we provide lots of trainings. And we also provide business cases for companies, and also we give some insights on entrepreneurship in robotics. We are members of the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition, and we had the pledges since the beginning of this platform, which we like a lot. Myself, I'm a member of the board of EU Robotics, and I'm the coordinator of TG Education because this is one of the main interests of our company besides the business side. We also work. We also have an NGO in which, like I mentioned, we are doing programming and robotics classes for children from vulnerable groups. I'm also an expert in the Pillar project, which is drafting some policies regarding future skills on the job market. And we are very much interested in how these classes in universities relate to the real life. Because it's one thing to learn in experiments or in theory, but we believe very much, and we saw that with the students that we work, that it's needed to see what's happening actually in the real life. We are interested if we can contribute to make the project representative for this side of Europe, because usually it's not relevant in different projects, and we can contribute both in the project in advanced skills analysis, because we have a radiography on what's happening in these fields in Romania, but we can also help with hands-on business-oriented approaches in specialized education programs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ana Maria. This is very interesting. Thank you for mentioning the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition and for being a pledger. As we are nailing it in terms of timing, I just take 1 minute to remind you that in case you want to continue exchanging among you and booking one-to-one sessions, there will also be one session starting at midday and then until 1, and then again this afternoon from 2 to 4. One more thing, in case you want to continue exchanging also after today, there is a dedicated web page in the Digital Skills and Job platform on the Digital Euro program where you can post your presentations, leave comments, and also interact to other people about the Digital Euro program. So I will repost the link here so you have it convenient. So I will introduce now the next speaker is Natalia Manola from OpenAir. Thank you very much.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, so what I will present is about the digital skills for data intensive and open science, fair science in the research and innovation ecosystem. And I have a dual hat, so I'm the CEO of OpenAir, which is an infrastructure on open science, and also researchers at Athena Research and Innovation Center in Greece. Next slide. I will introduce what our thoughts by saying that the digital skills in the research and innovation about some facts. So what we see is that open science and data-intensive science are becoming the new norms in performing research. Fair, findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable research data and software as a key enabler for artificial intelligence are in the center of national open science strategies and agenda. The research institutions are already investing a lot in upskilling researcher and personnel towards an advanced digital workforce that will support this open and data-intensive science sector. And what we find is that, even though we work in the university arena, is that the cross-sectoral data demands for transferable skills is of key importance. So what we want to do is to educate and advance people at the university level, libraries, research data centers that have cross skills between academia, industry, and public agencies. And last but not least is that what I would like to say that there's another world that we are coming from the European Open Science Cloud, which already builds the European digital skills infrastructure that connects national thematic institutional competence centers around research. So there is a whole world about requiring the skills, and there's a reference for the report that needs to be embedded in what we're doing in the Digital Euro program. Next slide. Where do we come from and where we would fit? So OpenAir is a European infrastructure and non-profit organization with 50 members. We have 37 national nodes with a key role in the upskilling and training at university level. And we're also building or support the building of national competence centers for open science. And this is something that where we think this could be part. So OpenAir is an integral part of the European Open Science Cloud. Just to get a few ideas is that we are building and developing learning materials and courses on open science. We are building the learning management platform to be used by 15 members. The European Open Science Knowledge Hub, which is a training catalog and skills and training courses. And of course, we are an organization that supports and has developed a lot of train the trainers program at the university level. What is in the making? In the making is that we are the EOSC and the European Open Science Cloud and OpenAir as part of it is the digital profiles for data stewards, data librarian, analysts, data scientists, data infrastructure professionals, and open research communicators. And of course, this includes, because we're talking about openness and fairness of data and how this links to the world. We're talking about legal and ethics issues. So what we are in the making of making these digital profiles and populating them in the world of the European Open Science Cloud. And last but not least, we're talking about certification schemes for training material and people. So those are the points of our interest. Those are our contact points. Thank you very much. May I add something? May I add one thing is that we are interested in the two calls. The one which is the advanced digital skills analysis, because this is important to include this world, to bring the two worlds together, but also the data space for skills, because we are building it on the one side, and we think that it should be integrated.
Thank you very much. So I will now introduce Donna O'Shea from the Cyber Skills Building Europe Cybersecurity Skills at Munster Technological University. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Donna O'Shea, and I hold the position Chair of Cybersecurity at Munster Technological University. I'm the only female professor in cybersecurity in Ireland, so I have a key focus on gender and diversity as well as part of my remit. I'm a PI in the SFI Research Centre Confirm, and I intend to bring this research centre in as a partner as part of our proposal. I also led the establishment of Ireland's National Cybersecurity Cluster, and we have 122 paying members of this cluster, 50% of them of which are SMEs and 50% multinationals. I've also led the undertaking of a cybersecurity sector analysis in Ireland and on an all-island basis. And I am chair of the Working Group 5 on the cyber reins in the EU Cybersecurity Cluster Organisation. I'm here today really to position and I suppose look for partners for a proposal that we wish to lead under this call to develop a Masters of Cybersecurity for Industry 4.0 and Cyber Physical Systems. MTU as a partner is a very credible partner. MTU's expenditure on research in 2020 was the highest among all the technological universities in Ireland, with an annual income of 22.3 million. We've drawn down the approximately 18 million from Horizon 2020, and we've coordinated numerous projects in excess of over 8 million each. And MTU has the highest success rate amongst all the Irish HEIs in participating in Horizon 2020. So we have a lot of experience in participating and leading out EU programs of research. So I want to talk today about a really innovative initiative that I lead in Ireland that I intend to bring in as a lead partner as part of this proposal. Cyber Skills is the initiative that I lead, and it has been awarded 8.1 million under the HEA HCI Pillar 3 programme. And our aim is to develop innovative cybersecurity courses. And what we actually do is that we actually bring in and our initiative coordinates cybersecurity education programs across a number of different HEIs in Ireland, including MTU, University of Limerick, Technological University of Dublin and UCD. We've also very strong links with the US with the inclusion of the Commonwealth Cyber Initiative, which is based in Virginia Tech, and these provide an advisory role into the programs that we actually develop. And our goal really is to rapidly develop and deploy enterprise-focused training and education addressing regional and national needs in a really fast-changing technological environment. And we aim to do this using the three keywords. We want to create enterprise-focused research-informed cybersecurity programs, and we've already achieved this by engaging with enterprise and have led out innovative online pathways. We want to empower the learner as well, and we have empowered the learner in designing their own courses and taking their own pathways, and we have provided straightforward articulation and progression routes with clear mapping to the different NFQ levels. And what we also do is that we develop a topology of non-formal learning achievements, and we do this through the development of a series of micro-credentials that basically correspond to the associate learning requirements. And how we actually do this is that we say, we offer modules and micro-credentials, and a student or a learner can take any micro-credential that they want, and they can take a pathway that we've already designed, or they can build their own pathway, but eventually all these credits and modules and pathways will lead to a formal award at a master's level. And we facilitate new ways of learning by also looking at the non-traditional learner, the learner, who has been working in industry but doesn't have any formal accreditation. And so we also provide a very comprehensive framework and recognition of prior learning and work-based learning activities. And we're very innovative, and we're very innovative because all our pathways and our the courses that we develop are in alignment with the NIST framework, which basically identifies 52 job roles, that people can work in the area of cybersecurity. We also have two different types of cyber ranges. So we have a cloud-based cyber range. So we provide experiential learning for learners in our system. And we also provide a cyber range from Airbus, which can integrate into a live network and do OT type cybersecurity training. And we deliver all our courses online. Okay, and we do this using a flipped classroom approach. If you just go to the next slide, please. And so what we're looking to develop a Masters in Industry 4.0 CPS. We want to address the negative gap and availability of advanced digital skills in cybersecurity in the EU. We want to improve learners' metacognitive skills. We want to increase students' ability in being able to link technical knowledge to fundamental theory. We want to invite partners who have an existing cyber range infrastructure or want to federate a cyber range infrastructure to support digital skills in cybersecurity and training to contact us. We want to pool resources and expertise. There is a serious shortage of cybersecurity professionals. There's also a serious shortage of cybersecurity educators, and we want to train the educators in cyber ranges and also cybersecurity. And we want to develop a tripartite model of collaboration between industry and academia and government. And I invite other HEIs from other countries and MSME partners to contact me if you're interested in participating in our bid. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dana. A lot of interesting information. We have now finished with the pitches. I see there is one intervention in the chat. Maybe Dominique Delaporte, if you're still here, do you want to explain a little bit more what you're asking in the chat? If you switch on your video, I don't know. Is this person unable to speak? I'm asking the organizer.
I think Dominique is not there anymore.
Okay. So in case there are other questions, please feel free. I remind you once again, this is not over, so it's just the beginning of making links between different organizations. We will take care of all the questions that we have received today. As it was explained, we have a formal channel for publishing questions referring to the call. So in case you have more, you need to go out to the Funding and Tender portal and submit. And there is where also you will find a collection of the questions that have been asked today. We'll try to answer all of them and we'll publish so they are accessible to everyone. You will also find links on the Digital Skills and Jobs Coalition portal. And please continue exchanges on the webpage, dedicated webpage, present your organization and reach out. I see that some of you already exchanged the contacts, which I'm very happy to see. Any other question you would like to ask? Any other exchanges, pitches, something that you would like to add to what you have said? I don't see any hand raised. So I think we can close this session. Ilker, please. Can we enable Ilker to speak?
Okay, thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah. So one question was, so these education programs that we target through this call, do they have to be new programs or the already existing programs can be used there? I think you mentioned this. You said there needs to be some added value, no? That was okay. Your answer. Then a relevant question is that when we expect an education program, new or improved education program, does this need to be like jointly developed? I understand that part, but jointly given, jointly. So what kind of interactions are expected between the institutions? I am trying to make things more concrete, the targets, so that we will work towards those targets. Thank you.
Thanks, Ilker. This is actually very relevant. It's something that, so the idea is really to design it jointly, and each partner in the consortium need to have, of course, a role in the delivery of the program. You can imagine that, for example, SMEs can take part as, they can host trainees, curricular trainees. They can, for example, provide some seminars. We have seen in the CEF pilot call that one master proposed to have a challenge-based project that students are working on in partnership with some SMEs that are part of the consortia. So there are a number of ways that they can be involved. And I don't know if this was also your question. The at least three higher education institutions that need to be in the consortia, they can decide whether they want to deliver a joint degree, for example, a double degree. or if it will be like a single degree given by each university in the consortium. So if a student, for example, enroll in the UPC, he will get a degree from UPC, but he will also have access, for example, to courses delivered by the other universities in the consortia or the other higher education institutions, and maybe he gets access to, I don't know, seminars offered by them. So it's this kind of partnership that we're looking for. Yes, sure.
To continue with that question then. So the students will be like, we will have a joint student set that the different institutions are providing courses and the seminars and everything, right? So it is not like everybody is jointly designing, but then every institution will have their own students that they provide. No, instead of this, we are talking about a joint program where we will have a common student group that we will be providing this program to. That's correct, right?
This is up to you. This is really up to you. It depends on what you think it's best in order to give a quality experience to the student. If you think you will maximize effort having a single pool of students, or if you prefer to have different students enrolled to the different faculties. But the idea, of course, is that they get access to an increased offer, to an improved offer compared to what you would give if you, of course, were delivering alone.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm not sure if there are any other questions in the chat. I see you're posting your willingness to exchange further. Is there a hand raised, or this is a previous hand? I see a hand raised, but I'm not sure if this is a new one or is still Ilker. Maybe Sadriash. Not sure if I pronounced it well.
Yes, I have enabled microphone for Sadriash.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now yes, we hear you.
Okay, I am Dukajan. I am a digital transformation consultant, and I just wrote to chat. I do have, I will try to keep it short. I do have several brands which are really interested for the digital skills, ICT for education, and Europe startups. And I would be more than happy to take a look if the presenters, also the other stakeholders that are in this meeting, to take a look at my chat that I wrote, and I am willing to collaborate with interested stakeholders and other partners in those, in particular, those three brands. And then I will let them know in more details, because I don't want to take much more time. So I have a digital skills brand, and I have also the domains digital-skills.org. And also I have ICT for education and Europe startups. And also, apart from this, as a business and ICT consultant, I am helping non-profit organizations and educational institutions to get technology donation, and then everyone who is interested to get like thousands of dollars in value for free as a donation from Microsoft and Google and other stakeholders. I can help you with. And I am open for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So with this, we reached midday. It's now time to close and leave you in case you have booked one-to-one pitching, one-to-one speed dating session to continue networking. I see a question from Isabel. We will try our best to publish the slides already today, so you can have it. And in case you enroll to the platform, you will also receive newsletters, so you will be up to date with all the latest information. With this, I thank you very much, and I really thank you for your participation, and I wish you a good afternoon. Thank you very much.
do, or they would present also their idea for a project. Until we get more people, we already have around 100 participants here. Let me just take you through some housekeeping. So how will this work today? Maybe Galina, if you are sharing the slide, if you can go to the next slide. Yes, thank you very much. So each presentation will strictly have a 5-minute slot. So I will be very carefully monitoring it so that we don't run over time. You can ask questions in the chat, but we will have only little time to answer them. So I very much recommend, if you consider a presentation interesting, or if you want to touch base or get in touch with the presenter, the best way to do it is to find him in the partners list on the B2 Match platform and set up a one-to-one matchmaking session with him, either with him or her, either after 12 o'clock until 12:30, or we have opened another matchmaking session as of 2 o'clock to 4. That's the best way how to get in touch, how to form these partnerships. With this, let's have a quick look at the agenda today. So we have 10 pitches. Yes, thank you. We have 10 pitches: EIT Digital, building healthy security clusters through immersive learning experiences, wide. Then we will have Slovak National Coalition. We have the workshop for me from Luxembourg, Cefriel, CyberHEAD from ENISA, Digital Good Practices Projects from Spain, Matchmaking Sweden ICT, and equipping next generation of diverse leaders to bridge the bias in artificial intelligence from the Netherlands. For the presenters, so for the pitchers, always when is your time, please raise your hand, so we will give you the presenter's role. Otherwise you won't be able to activate your microphone or your camera. And so the first person to present today will be Mattia Bellotti from EIT Digital. And as soon as I hope Mattia is in the room, please raise your hand. Thank you very much. I will ask my colleagues to give you the role. And with this, if you are able to present and to speak, please unmute your microphone. And whenever you start, I will start the stopwatch as well.
Thank you. I think it's working now, right?
Mattia, yes, thank you. We hear you. So your 5 minutes start now. Thank you.
Thank you. And good morning, everyone. I'm Mattia Bellotti. I'm representing here EIT Digital today, where I'm working as education lead. So in this presentation, as you know, EIT Digital is an organization co-funded by the EIT, the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, which is a body of the European Union. Today, in this presentation, I'm briefly presenting what is our strategy, our mission, what are our education activities, and why we believe we are an interesting partner for you for our consortium on the advanced digital skill gap analysis. So yeah, exactly here in the slides, we can see what is our strategy and our mission. So as you can see, we have a strategy which is integrated, multidisciplinary, and cross-country. Why these three? Integrated, first of all, because we are active on 3 pillars, which are, I think the slides have disappeared suddenly on my screen, but I hope it's just my issue. Okay, now they're back, thanks. And so we are active in 3 pillars, which are innovation and entrepreneurship, education, entrepreneurial education, and the ecosystem, which is a kind of glue between the other 2 pillars. And of course, is also the glue between all our partners. Because we are a partnership organization, at the moment, we have more than 300 partners across Europe. And these partners involve top European corporations, SMEs, startups, universities, and research institutes. We believe in shaping a competitive digital Europe that is inclusive, fair, and sustainable. And how we're also trying to do that by breeding digital entrepreneurial talent and by creating new successful digital venture and digital services. Why we define our strategy as multidisciplinary? Because we are working in the digital domain across several different fields. You can see here at the bottom these 5 small circles, which are our so-called focus areas. So we are active in these focus areas, which are digital well-being, digital cities, digital tech, digital industry, and digital finance, meaning that all our projects are both in innovation and in education are focused and are let's say, centered and running around one or even more of these focus areas. We are, of course, also, our strategy is, of course, also cross-country, because we are active. As you can see, we're covering most of EU countries and also associated countries. And in the small blue dots, you can see where we have physical presence with one of our co-location centers. If we go to the next slide, we can see what are our main education activities. So you can see we have an approach which we also define as blended education, because it involves face-to-face courses, but also sometimes online content that can be followed asynchronously to our, let's say, participants, either students or professionals. We are active in different domains. We have at the moment more than 50 technical university RTOs in our memberships, and roughly a third of this is active in our master school. In our master school, we offer digital, we offer high education programs, master program of 2 years, involving indeed several universities across Europe. And these masters are running for more than 2 years so far. At the moment, we have 7 master programs, and we have more than 2,000 master school alumni. We're also active in doctoral education, and our track record involve more than 150 doctoral school alumni, so doctoral school students that graduated at one of our partner universities. Besides, let's say, the involvement in education to students and, let's say, doctoral students, we're also involved in education of young professionals and even more experienced professionals. How we are doing that? Through our summer school, we roughly run 10 summer schools per year, which are again focused on topics connected to our digital focus areas. These summer schools are mandatory for our master students, but are also open for young professionals or other master students from other universities. On the top of that, we are also active in professional education, even to C-level and management education. So we are active in the domain of upskilling professionals. In this case, we have a portfolio of 10 professional courses, which are co-developed by our EIT Digital partners.
30 seconds.
As you can see. Okay, thanks. So I'm really at the end. So as you can see here, this was our 10th anniversary last year, 2020. So we have a more than 10-year experience in cooperation with higher education institutions in master and also in other type of programs, and experience in design and coordination of master programs, innovation and entrepreneurship education, and short-term and professional courses. Therefore, we really believe we are an interesting partner for you to have in your consortia in this in the CSA for the advanced digital skill analysis. If you would like to get in contact with me, please get in contact through to this platform, or also via email at mattia.bellotti@eitdigital.eu. Thank you.
Mattia, thank you very much. It was almost exactly 5 minutes, so thank you very much for also being, thinking about time and mindful about time. Now I will like to invite Nadia El Fertassi from Thrive with EQ. I see that you have your hand raised. So I think you can also enable your camera. Thank you very much. And you will be talking about building healthy security cultures through immersive learning experiences. So thank you very much, Nadia. The floor is yours, and the 5 minutes start now.
Thank you very much for the very interesting morning. So my name is Nadia Al-Fertassi. I am the founder of Thrive with EQ, Emotional Intelligence, and I help people build healthy security culture to minimize the pain of cybercrime. So I focus on the human factor. Today, I'm presenting on behalf of my partner, Matt Castle, who has a track record in developing immersive learning experiences through VR documentaries that translate theory into human experience. So we are pitching our idea and proof of concept. Now, what happens when you leave the security of devices to the users? Personal security at a time where COVID caused a spike of more than 600% in cybercrime, at a time where social engineering is responsible for more than 96% of cyber breaches. So the emotional manipulation of human minds to get information out of people that is malicious intent. What is the pain? So let's just look at one practical pain example, ransomware. Ransomware is being named as the next digital virus, projected to cause over more than 60 billion in global damages to companies in 2021. Some estimates beyond the obvious cost of business disruption, physical pain, range between 35 billion and 142 billion in 2022. And most of the ransomware, over 92%, doesn't even get reported. So how do you train and educate both IT talent and non-technical people in the digital decade? Right? Some of the current training challenges of cybersecurity is it's too technical, it's unengaging, it's an additional burden to people's lives that is already filled with pressure and deadlines. Science shows that more than 80% of learning are forgotten after 1 month. So human hacking focuses on emotions of fear and anxiety, and especially in the case of ransomware, why do we train people to use logic for building resilience when they act on emotions of fear and anxiety? So how do we want to drive this change through the power of storytelling and immersive experiences? How can we build healthy security cultures which require an inclusive approach? It starts at an early age, as the risk of becoming desensitized through the technology when it comes to focusing on human core values in the digital decade. So our solution is to create immersive stories that transform, engage, where the user sees, feels, and thinks through the pair of fresh eyes, leveraging the science of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence helps people develop resilience and coping mechanisms through the immediate environment. Cognitive intelligence, our IQ, is long-term, strategic, and we work with the EQI 2.0 model, which is a scientifically validated model. Emotional intelligence is helping people generate new behaviors and habits in their map of the world. How do we train IT talent to help security become relevant and incentivizing in different people's map of the world? So our long-term vision is to develop a hybrid online academy of immersive learning experiences to support the upskill and reskilling, not only of IT talent, but also of workforces and SMEs. So the desensitization in digital age decreases. So what are some of the core features? Storytelling, customizable, episodic content, gamification, available anytime, anywhere. We don't have the barriers often of the VR accessories. So these are accessible on web-based or mobile-based application without any accessories that come with VR training. Now, how do we drive change in the digital decades, right? Change happens to us, but transition happens within people. How do you get people to do things differently in the VUCA world? Volatile, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity, right? How do you develop these sustainable behaviors where decision fatigue and change prevails? So the immersive experiences are based on sensory experiences, immersing people in scenarios that saturates the senses, again, without these VR accessories. So people can relate to actual human beings through 360 learning filming as well.
30 seconds, sorry.
So, we are looking for, thank you. So if you can show both slides so you know a little bit about me and Matt. So we're looking for partners who have complementary skills, both in the technical, both in the AI, so we can implement this vision and maintain a people-centric approach and leverage the power of digital acceleration to build a world-class European pool of IT talent and a European Union where people have the tools to build resilience against the pain of cybercrime. Thank you very much.
Nadia, thank you very much, and thanks also for respecting the time limit. Very much appreciated. The next pitch and the next presentation will be about WHITE from Luxembourg. WHITE, which means Women in Digital Empowerment. And I would like to invite Marina Andriu to raise her hand, and my colleagues in the backstage will give you the floor and will give you the possibility to switch on your microphone and your camera if you are here. Marina. I hope we will soon be able to see you. Best if you can raise your hand. Otherwise, we would need to skip and to go to the next.
She did, yeah.
Okay, Marina is here. Thank you very much, Marina. Can we see you as well? Let's wait a second. In the meantime, I invite you also to check the Digital Skills and Jobs platform, where we have opened the new community. So if you are not pitching today, you can still present your organization and what you do at the Digital Skills and Jobs platform. I have shared the link in the chat. Marina, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not sure you can see me.
No, we cannot see you.
Never mind.
Okay, if it's okay, then I would give you
I
the
can have
floor.
my presentation. It would be very useful.
And I will switch on the slides. Thank you, Marina. Your 5 minutes start now. Thank you.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. So I'm Marina Andrieux. I'm the founder and director of WIDE. We are a non-profit organization based in Luxembourg, active for the last nearly 8 years. So we've been doing a lot of projects and cooperations with the public sector and the private sector in Luxembourg and in Europe to support girls and women in tech. So mainly starting with awareness-raising activities. We are, I believe, pioneers in coding education in Luxembourg, but also we have offered a variety of sessions and trainings over the last couple of years. And why I'm here today is because we are currently transitioning to be a social enterprise, so SME, and we want to be able to join new partnership and share expertise with other partners in Europe and outside Europe as well on our area of expertise. So our area of expertise as today are, of course, gender equality. You know, we are doing a lot of advocacy work to get more girls and women involved in the field of tech, ICT, and leadership. Of course, digital skills. I mentioned coding earlier. So I was EU Code Week ambassador for Luxembourg for a couple of years from day one, actually. So we have developed a strong experience in this field. And we still believe that coding skills are important for non-specialists. We run our courses quite often in Luxembourg, and they are very popular. And we'll be looking to duplicate or replicate this kind of courses to other countries. We have done it already in the past. We're also looking at other areas such as AI for gender, of course, but cybersecurity, social media, data. We had a project on open data, which just ended. And at the moment, we're also very interested in blockchain, crypto, NFT, you know, we're really trying to keep close to what's happening in the field of technology to offer the most innovative program to our audience. And finally, we're also working on inclusive entrepreneurship. I know this is not exactly the scope of a call, but you know, if you need more SMEs, you need also people to start companies. So we believe entrepreneurship is super important, and we want to help more people with their product and their skills as an entrepreneur, even if they're not tech entrepreneurs as such. What I wanted to say is, even if we are recognized nowadays for our expertise working with women, we really want to bring our expertise in gender equality, but also you know, work on programs which are for everyone. You know, making sure that there is a parity of a good gender balance. So this is exactly what we can bring to partners. As for our experience, so far we've been involved mainly in Erasmus Plus projects, so we really want to look at other programs for the future. I'm also Digital Skills and Jobs Coordinator for Luxembourg, so I have a broad network of partners and stakeholders in Luxembourg and in Europe, of course. As I said, I was involved with the EU Code Week in the past. I'm also doing some work with the OECD. So this is what we can offer. And if you want to reach me, please email, or maybe the easiest is to connect on LinkedIn. All right. Thank you so much for your attention, and have a nice day.
Marina, thank you very much. This was spot on, 4 minutes 30 seconds. So thank you for respecting the time. We will move to the next presentation, which will be from the Slovak National Coalition, Mario Lalovsky. Again, I will ask you, Mario, if you can raise your hand so that we can give you the floor. And I see you already on the camera. So thank you, welcome. And you will be talking about identifying ICT study programs for the future and addressing the lack of ICT specialists. So Marianne, very happy to have you today, and the floor is yours. I will move your slides.
Thank you very much. Hello to everyone. As it was said, I am a representative of a Slovak National Coalition, representing more than 80 members of the platform of Digital Coalition. And my offer for our proposal for the project is that we should talk about more in detail what exactly ICT specialists do we need in the short future. We are hearing also today that there is 8 million specialists in Europe available. We expect them to have 20 million. But my question and the question of employers, which I am representing also, is what are these specialists and what are the specializations we will need? This is not only about programmers, as we know them today, but as what we hear from enterprises and SMEs is that they need application ICT specialists for their sectors, for their needs, and for their particular requirements, which doesn't necessarily is the outcome of the ICT faculties of today. So what we see that the current shortage may change. We expect that there is a big change ongoing, and we would like to suggest to find a way how to analyze what exactly this shortage will represent, what programs do we need, how we can really work on interdisciplinary programs, because there we see the request from the schools that, yes, we are producing, let's say, chemistry engineers, but they are lacking digital skills. Okay, how do we do that, and what exactly is needed there in vocational study, program studies, bachelor studies, master studies as well, instruction, quality of education. We also know that these students, I mean, in higher education, are not really happy to hear after they finish their study that they have to learn quite a lot about digital skills, I mean, a bit advanced skills. So we should somehow find a way how to bring them into the schools. Next to that, of course, the specialists already in the field, employed people, should be reskilled and upskilled in digital. Next slide, please. So what we want to suggest to look for, I mean, in a European level, and so we are looking for partners to analyze these shortages and these questions. What we will look for is mentioned here. So demand on capacity, quality of education institutions, what study programs we will need. I mean, this is particularly the issue of the major part of this call, that in order to create new master ICT study programs, okay, but which will be relevant, and what about the interdisciplinary? This is not that easy to create. I would also offer that we have prepared in Slovakia, thanks to the EU funds, the project where we created 24 sectorial strategies for human resources development. For each sector of economy, there is a focused study or analysis of what human resources will be needed for that particular sector, which also includes the part of digital skills. So we have this basement available, and we would like to disseminate it within Europe and verify it, and based on that, really create what this sector will need. I think the ICT sector usually does know what it needs. I am from the ICT sector. I have studied many, many years ago. And in general, ICT really know what they want and what the certification should be and so on. But the problem is with all the others. Do the doctors know what skills they need? Do the agriculture know what they need? I am afraid that not really. And what I'm looking for partners to find out these requirements, find out what study programs would be needed, how we can merge digital and green, which is a big question as well. And that's my proposal. So looking forward to meet you later on in one-by-one meetings and maybe even for cooperation. Thank you very much.
Marianne, thank you as well for this presentation. Also, you finished on time, so thank you for respecting the time limit. Next, we are going again to Luxembourg, but this time we will be talking about starting young to getting to the 20 million digital technology specialist by 2030. Workshop for me is the organization, and its chair or its manager is Madhumalti Sharma. So Madhumalti, happy to have you with us, and I'm giving you the floor. I will switch your slides and you can start your 5-minute speech.
Super. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be here today and talk about this wonderful call. Like Jakub mentioned, the topic of my presentation is that if we want to get to 20 million digital specialists by 2030, the only way to do it is to start young. So I'm founder and president of Workshop for Me. We are a nonprofit organization based in Luxembourg for the past 7.5 years or so. And we train children from the time they are 5 years onwards, all the way up to 16, 17, and also some adults, to become the problem solvers of the future using coding and digital skills. So we run workshops both in person and online. We follow the blended approach. So there are now, thanks to COVID, we have been able to evolve. So we have a mix of video tutorials that students can do at their own pace whenever they want. And there are regular live sessions with young coaches who help the children create their projects. It's very important from a young age to bring in this mindset into children that you have to become not just consumers of technology, but creators using technology. And if we would like to bring in advanced digital skills like AI or crypto or robotics, we have to start young and get children exposed to it, not just as a consumer of, consuming all of this technology, but learn to start creating from the beginning. There are 3 aspects that I want to highlight, which we work on a lot. One is providing an environment which is informal and gives them the courage and the facility to try out things that they would like to do. So I feel this is important, especially in case of technology. Like it was mentioned by some earlier experts, it is not that we need only programmers, we need people to be upskilled in digital technologies, and therefore doing it in a fun, informal environment is a really important thing to do. The other thing is that sometimes it is thought that to learn AI, you have to necessarily be in front of a screen and use an app. This is not necessarily so. It is possible to learn it using unplugged or off-screen activities as well. So we do a lot of that. And I have here the courses which we are already offering. We are also working on a lot of new courses. And we believe that the way to do it is to reach out to students in schools. So being the EU Code Week ambassador for Luxembourg for the past 5-6 years now, I have been involved in organizing activities outside for the public, but also within schools. And as experts, we go and run sessions within the classroom for all the different technologies. And I feel this is the way to actually get to the 20 million digital users that we would like to go to. We start with drag and drop and easy programming, but very quickly go on to text-based programming and also AI for kids. We have recently launched an AI for kids program. We're also running a session for people to celebrate European Robotics Week tomorrow. So the idea is to be able to start young, get people to do it. Apart from doing the courses for the children, we also do courses for adults or for teachers, so they are able to bring these coding skills into the classroom. So I feel this is also a very important way to get people to do coding and to know about the new skills and how to actually apply it, because all these are currently buzzwords that people hear about, but they not necessarily know how they're going to apply it. So doing an application based course or bringing those in as lessons is going to be really important to be able to achieve the goal that we would like to do. And I would like to just end by giving you a little bit of background. So if we can go to the next slide about myself. I have been in the technology industry, started out as a developer more than 25 years ago, always working in organizations providing digital transformation projects for Fortune 500 organizations, big ones. I also wear a lot of hats of volunteer in EU Code Week, EU Robotics Week, European Education for STEAM educators. So this is what I work on all the time. And I would be very happy to bring all of that expertise with our organization, which includes young people, so they know how to bring it to the young people that we would like to train. And all the credentials are given here. I would be very happy to reach out to you. You can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. I will also put it on the chat as soon as I finish this talk. And I look forward to creating something great and making Europe known for its digital expertise. Thank you so much, everybody.
Madhumalti, also thank you very much for this presentation, for taking part and for respecting the time. I will just remind that people can, of course, touch base or get in contact with the pictures, with the presenters through the matchmaking sessions that are starting now, will last until 12:30, or you can also book your one-to-one speed dating slots from 2 to 4 this afternoon, really to get in touch and to discuss. So thank you for using also that opportunity. And now we turn to Cefriel, which is an Italian organization, and Enrico Frumento, who is already with us. Hello, Enrico. Will talk about their approach to training, upskilling, and reskilling in cybersecurity, transforming training in cybersecurity into a cyber risk mitigation solution. So Enrico, happy to have you, and your 5 minutes start now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Could you go to the following slide, please? Yes, okay. So Cefriel is a no-profit innovation center that is based in Milano, but also has different branches in the USA and in UK. We are working on transferring the results of research. Indeed, we are a sort of branch or spin-off of the Polytechnic of Milano originally. And especially I'm working in cybersecurity, where the training, upskilling and skilling and awareness in general are very important. But the point is not of my presentation is not only to think about how much to train people, but also to link these activities with the another aspect, that is the reduction of cyber risks, especially those risks related to the human elements of security. We know all that awareness in general is well suited for reducing somehow the risks of the humans responding to threats like phishing and so on. But it's not only the equation is not only made of this part, it's made also of professionals, for example, belonging to the IT security incident teams that needs to be trained in order to respond correctly and under stress to the threats that are happening. And therefore, the arguments and the topics on which the training is performed are especially meant to be instruments through which the cyber risks is reduced. Could you go to the following slide, please? The concept is relatively simple and starts from one simple concept that is very important. And could you complete the animation of this slide, please? The one concept that is the base of our approach to cybersecurity, that is sustainability. Sustainability is especially important because not only in terms of CO2 produced or carbon footprint, but in terms of technology, in terms of educational processes, in terms of workforces available, in terms of economic impacts, in terms of cyber risk that is governing all the choices that are made in cybersecurity forces. So this comes to the topic of training, because it is a way to rethink the training in a different way, and starting to think about the sustainability in terms of the final outcome that is a more secure company. Could you go to the following slide, please? Yeah. And therefore, we developed a new paradigm in cybersecurity. That is, could you complete the animations, please? Yeah. No, back one. Okay, thank you. The new paradigm that we call a highly personalized and adaptive learning experience, where highly personalized I mean that the training vector is personalized through people analytics concepts, through personalization of the training contents and methodologies, for example, videos, slides, or classrooms, depending on the profile of the person, depending on the asset that this person is managing. the portfolio, the risks they are exposed to, the tracks, the educational tracks they already have done, and so on. All these things together brings to a highly personalized learning experience that is, in our opinion, much more effective in terms of mitigation of the cyber risk of a company, and passes through personalization, wide selection of learning paradigms, and profiling dynamic clusterings of the learners. These things is especially interesting in terms of research, and here I have to, let's say, find a way to, sorry there is a noise here, find a way to, let's say, bring this concept into proposals into this this new research area. And this is more or less my contribution.
Enrico, thank you very much, and we hear that you have some alarm in the room, so I hope everything is fine. Thank you very much for the presentation. We will stay in cybersecurity as a topic, but we will move to ENISA, to Greece, where Fabio Di Franco from ENISA will talk about CyberHEAD. So Fabio, if you are here, please raise your hand. We will give you the presenter's rights, and we will enable your microphone, and you will be able to present what ENISA and the CyberHEAD is about.
Hello, Jacob. Can you hear me?
Fabio, thank you very much. We can hear you very well, and I give you the floor for your 5-minute pitch.
Thank you very much for your time. First, I would like to say what is ENISA, because maybe you don't know. ENISA is the European Union agency. Is a body, is an agency of the European Union. So we are not interested to create any consortium, but we would like to give our opinion, our idea on how we look at the situation at the moment on the skills in Europe in cybersecurity, and what ENISA has been doing in cybersecurity on our skills in the recent years. So I don't know if you can see my presentation, because I am not sure if I can see. The presentation is online or not? Because that will help our audience. Mainly, I want to talk about one particular initiative that ENISA is doing, is CyberHEAD. Is this database, higher education database, lists cybersecurity degree across the member state and EFTA country. So in this database is a web database. There are at the moment more than 130 programs. And the goal is to help students to find the course that interests them, because they have different filters that they can filter across the interest, the location, the fee, the language, the bachelor degree, master. But most important, they can have a snapshot on the characteristic of the program. For example, if the program is part-time, is taught, for example, outside the working hours, or if the focus is on technical matter, or is more on the organizational legal part of cybersecurity. Because I remember cybersecurity is not only a topic for nerd, IT security nerd, which stay in front of the computer with the black screen all days. There is a lot of elements which are related to risk management, to legal cybercrime, which are not so heavy in technology and not so heavy in cybersecurity. So the goal is, if you submit a proposal, you have a master degree, a bachelor degree in cybersecurity, I suggest you to have a look on in our website. It's called CyberHEAD ENISA. You can find on with Google or any search. And there you can submit your information about your degree. and we'll then contact you, and we will ask you some information about the courses, and then the program will be online in our website. This will help also academic institutions to attract the best students inside Europe, but also outside Europe, and to make Europe more cyber secure. This is also part of another initiative that we have launched last year, is regarded the European Cybersecurity Skill Framework. This framework would like to create an harmonized language across Europe in cybersecurity, meeting under the same umbrella different stakeholders, meaning academia, workforce, and training institution or higher education institution, in the way that they are able to talk the same language and help in this way to mitigate the skill shortage and the skill gap. We have just released a report 4 days ago, which analyze how severe is the skill shortage and skill gap in Europe, and we give some recommendation on how to mitigate this. So in the end, my idea is you might have a look at this report to find ideas also on how we suggest to on which activity are the most important according to us to mitigate the shortage of personnel in cybersecurity, but also to develop skills in cybersecurity, not only for technical people, but also for other different kind of people which need still cybersecurity elements in place. And with this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much.
Fabio, thank you very much for the presentation. Not sure whether you saw the slides at the end. I was presenting them, I was showing them, so I hope it is fine. I move to the next person on the agenda, next presentation from Spain. Maite Guerrero from Inercia Digital will talk about digital good practices projects and their organization. So Maite, happy to have you. I see you. I hope we will be able also to hear you. Yes, we can. So your 5 minutes start now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me, right?
Yes, we do hear you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm Maite Guerrero. I'm Innovation Coordinator of Inercia Digital. Let me know that I tell you a little more about us. We're the Spanish Bed Center, a vocational training for employment in Andalusia, which is officially accredited by our regional government. And our main area of expertise is fostering digital and entrepreneurial skills. We are experts in ICT components, e-platforms, apps, robotics, because, well, these elements are now everywhere, and we firmly believe in the need for the constant modernization and digitalization of organizations, not only in terms of educational institutions and non-profit organizations, but also in the workplace. Tell about we have extensive international and European experience. We have collaborated as coordinators and partners in a long list of Erasmus projects, mainly. So concerning, for example, the key 1 action of this program, these learning stays are completely funded by the European Union, specifically within the Erasmus program, and we offer digital and entrepreneurial courses in Huelva. In relation to the key 2 action, we continuously strive to be an active participant in the development of international innovative projects in order to promote digital skills. So we have participated successfully in more than 90 European projects in digital innovation. So, we really appreciate the opportunity to present to you here today some digital good practices, examples that I hope you find interesting and very inspirational facing this Digital Europe program that we are talking about. First one is FIBOS. FIBOS is an initiative that promotes inclusive education and fosters common values among young people by raising awareness and also improving their digital skills. This initiative, this project focuses on disadvantaged young people for migrant and minority communities because their voices are underrepresented in the media, and also on migrant women because it's a group that is inside of this society even less visible. So the main response to these challenges, let's say main objectives, is to train young people for migrant and ethnic minority groups in digital skills. We did it in cooperation with the local youth from low socioeconomic backgrounds. Another one is to increase their media literacy and enabling them to run and manage their own digital newspaper, their own digital media, and also to develop a method of training disadvantaged young people in digital media. So to do that, well, we carried out a methodology which consisted in a non-formal learning practice on media and information literacy, on how to create teams of young journalists who run their own online newspapers. Okay, with the development of this methodology, well, it was divided into two groups: the specific training for professionals, and also a specific training for young people. Concerning the online newspaper, it serves like a online space in which these young people could reflect all the knowledge that they gained through the trainings.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
You still have 30 seconds. You still can finish.
Okay, just to finish, also to tell you about the project Spirit of Europe. Its main objective is the learning of history through the computer game. The player travels through the history of Europe from mythology to present, participating in historical and mythological events. Just to give you thank you advance for your time, and looking forward to hearing from you. So please, if you have any question or you want to cooperate with us, send us an email to innovation@inerciadigital.com. So thank you so much for your time.
Maite, thank you very much, and thanks for this presentation. We have two more presentations left. I saw that there were some questions also in the chat to ENISA, so if then people want to reply to these questions, the presenters, they of course can. And I very much invite you, if you are interested in the pitches and if you would like to learn more, invite the pitchers to a one-to-one speed date, either from now until 12:30 or from 2 o'clock until 4 o'clock. You can do it through the B2 Match platform. Now, our ninth presentation will be from Sweden. Anna Broders will talk about Matchmaking Sweden ICT, and she works in the Linköping Science Park. I know that I don't pronounce the name of the city correctly. Sorry for that. I have a colleague from Sweden who tried to teach me how to pronounce the name of the city, but
no worries.
Thank you, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all the previous presentations. Really interesting to hear about all the initiatives. So my name is Anna Broders, and I work at Linköping Science Park, and I would like to talk a bit about the collaboration we have together with 6 other science parks. So if we can take the next slide, please. Where we focus on ICT, as the name mentioned, and it's a collaboration between 6 science parks from the north in Sweden to the south. So it's Luleå Science Park, Kista Science City in Stockholm, us in Linköping, Blue Science Park, Lindholm in Gothenburg, and Ideon Science Park in Lund. And together we have around 2,400 companies, and if we take it a bit, 60,000 talents working in these companies. And we started a collaboration, these 6 science parks, 2 years ago, because we saw a lot of common challenge together. And one of them is talent attraction, and I will talk more about that. But it's also for open calls, for example, the European Digital Innovation Hub call that's open right now, but also lab benchmark, and we know there's a lot of knowledge to change between these science parks. And I work mostly with the talent attraction part. I forgot to mention it, but in Linköping Science Park, I mostly work with supporting the companies in talent attraction, because the lack of talent is, like in every European country, is also really big in Sweden. And how can we be better to take care of the international talents that are already in our country, but also international talents outside of Europe or inside of Europe who want to do a mobility in the and try different countries. So if we take the next slide, please. We have created a process and a tool for a matchmaking to connect international talents with who have advanced skills in ICT with research development and innovative companies in these 6 science parks. But why I want to pitch here today is to see if we can investigate if there are other collaborations that would be interesting to see if we can work with this same tool and process in other ways. So what we do is we have the company recruitment needs and the talent's competence are in focus. And in this matchmaking tool, we have an AI who matchmake these two. And for us to really work with international talents, we think it's important to create a possibility for building relations between the talent and the company. So what we do is that the 6 best matches, they will meet in facilitated meetings online, on Zoom, in breakout rooms, so they really can start to get the relation. And then we leave the rest of the recruitment process to the companies. We have had 2 bigger events with this. So some numbers so far is that we have 42 companies who has been part of this. We have around 370 talents who are interested, and we have around 100 interviews that we facilitated, or meetings we facilitated. So it's in the beginning of this. We think we have something that can be bigger. A few days ago, we also know we got a project to further investigate which kind of, or how we can further develop this project. And I hope we can collaborate in some way with others as well into the digital skills projects in the future. I will put my contacts in the chat because I'm not able to be on the one-on-one meetings later today. So please reach out to me if you have any questions or want to connect. Thank you very much.
Anna, thank you very much for this presentation, and thanks for sharing your contacts as well in the chat. I believe people will use it. Now, next and the last presentation today will be about the code to change from the Netherlands. Ifat Rose-Gil, or Gil, I don't know whether I pronounce it correctly, equipping the next generation of diverse leaders to bridge the bias in artificial intelligence. So Ifat, I hope you can hear us. We can see you, which is a good sign. The slides are ready, so I am switching on the timer and your presentation can start. The floor is yours. Thank you for being with us.
Hi, thank you so much. I am Ifat Rose-Gil. Thank you for the introduction, Jakub. We are headquartered. I'm the CEO and founder of the Code to Change. We are headquartered in the Netherlands, and we're working in 6 European countries and in Asia. And our main goal is to empower women and girls through digital skills in emerging tech. Firstly, all the pitches that I've just heard, I want to speak with all of them and connect with all of them and work with all of them. But let's get to that towards the end of my pitch. We're a diversity and inclusion organization working to connect high potential employees with leaders in the technology world. What we are basically doing, or how we actually started, was because we wanted to work with the untapped potential of from the underrepresented groups, which includes women, which includes people from other minorities, be it migrants or refugees, you name it, all those underrepresented communities in the technology sector who are not represented, whose ideas are not represented and they're just passive users of technology. We wanted to convert them into producers as well, which is why we launched the Code to Change 10 years ago, more or less. If we can go to next slide, please. Or is that the only slide you have? Yeah, so to give you an example of the kind of work we have been doing in the past years and the kind of partners we have been working with, what our specialty is that we can actually assess and analyze, okay, what is the learning needs of the target group that we're working with, and what does the market in that region looks like, and we combine that to see what can be done in terms of trainings to make the best out of that. For example, we're now, due to the shortage of data analysts, for example, in Amsterdam region, we collaborated with Startup Amsterdam, and we're delivering machine learning and artificial intelligence bootcamp in the region since this year, and it's a 3-year project that we are working on. We're working together with a consortium of partners. It's called RIDE project. I'll be sharing the link in the chat as well. We're working to include the women from refugee and migrant background into technology for workforce. Sorry about the Dutch technology workforce. So different partners working in different countries, they are working, or we are supporting them to integrate the people from these groups into their respective technology workforces. We're working, for example, on a project now with the German government, initially for Pakistani women and then for Afghani women now, and we are exploring how we can actually not just reskill and upskill them, but also connect them to opportunities, which is where one of the partners who was talking, Anna, I believe, who was talking about building a platform also for the talent and matching talent. We are also working on that, so we're very interested to collaborate on not just building or reskilling opportunities, but also working on building the ecosystem around integrating these people and building the pathways so that we can actually integrate these people into the workforce. I think this one was going to be particularly interesting for a lot of partners here with our RIDE project. And I think first one of the few first pitches mentioned that we need to understand the tech ecosystem of the country that we are working in, or even a specific region that we're working with. We actually designed, through the RIDE project, we actually designed a guidelines, a framework, where we shared how we did that for 6 different countries in Europe. How did we take the steps to analyze what the industry is doing, and how we then translated that into learning possibilities for the groups that we are working with. I'll be sharing, as I said, I'll be sharing a link here just to tell you a little bit about, in the next slide, about the levels we are working with and different skills. So we do
30 seconds, sorry.
4 levels of, I'm almost done. We do these 4 levels, which includes informational events, which includes beginner to advanced level boot camps in very different subjects, and mostly in emerging tech. So this includes coding, this includes machine learning, cybersecurity, you name it. Please get in touch with us, and we would love to speak more about collaboration possibilities. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much also for this presentation, and for ending exactly at the 5th minute. So that's all for this Blue Room session. Thank you to all presenters. I think one after the other, the presentations were very much appreciated by the participants here. So I think it's a good opportunity for everyone to set up still the one-to-one speed dates and meetings for the afternoon. And let me just invite you to stay in touch and join the Digital Skills and Jobs platform. We have just posted a couple of links in the chat where you can see the dedicated community group, where you can pitch also your organization if you did not manage to do it today. Eventually also network and find all the information that you need for the call. I think the key date today is the 22nd of February, when is the deadline of the 3 calls. And with that, really thank you very much for participating. I hope we will stay in touch. You can also follow us on Twitter at Digital Skills EU and enjoy the matchmaking in the afternoon. Take care, goodbye, and I think we will see each other next time at our next Info Day that will be, of course, organized when the new calls are published. Thank you and take care.